Happy Saturday, everyone. It's a beautiful day. This has been an exciting week, to say the least. Zach, would you agree that this has been an exciting week for
It's been
all
the
of us
best. It's been the best week of my life since I
since
don't
the
know.
show began?
Yeah.
So, today, everyone, is going to be a quite a different show. We're not going to go into there's one big block of news that we're going to talk about. We're going to discuss Spider-Man No Way Home in full, all the spoilers right here. This is not your final warning. We'll bring our guests and then I'll give you the final warning. But if you haven't seen the film, go watch it. It's fucking awesome. Or if you don't care about spoilers, stay here, join the conversation, all your thoughts and opinions, and we'll do our best to, on the back half of the show, get
You're gonna
to
hear me
those
cry for
live
like half of this
questions.
because I already feel like crying again. Every
You're
time I
gonna
go, I
cry.
cry, man. Every time I go, I cry. So
Same. How many times have you seen it?
3 now.
Three.
But my
Okay, same.
girlfriend, she loved it, so now she wants to go
Oh,
again.
okay.
So I told her,
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, good, because beforehand
As
she
if
goes,
you
I don't
needed
want
an excuse.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna go see it in IMAX next because we saw it in Dolby, which
Nice.
I love
Yes.
Dolby because that screen
I've
is
only
so
seen it in
perfect.
Dolby and in normal.
So I want to see it again, man. I'm so ready to see it again. It's
Same
my
here.
favorite film.
Going
It's my
tomorrow.
favorite film of
Going
the year,
tomorrow
man.
again.
I'm gonna
Wow.
watch Dune one more time before I do my top 10 at the end of the year, but I don't. Nostalgically, it's just everything I wanted it to be.
All right,
That's my
everyone.
favorite
And of
ending
course,
too. So
and Zach and I couldn't do this alone. We have to have guests across from the multiverse. One of them is running a little bit behind, but the other one is already here. One of my favorite people that I've met in this space, one of the greatest friends I've made throughout this year, and she loves this film as much as we do.
can I say
think,
her
if
name
not
real fast though? Let me
yes.
say it. Ready? Mephisto. There we go.
It's Red, not from
Hello.
Mephisto, but
There
for
we
our
go.
voice Spidey, for our voice Spidey. Thank you guys
Should
so
have
much for
divided it.
having me. Yeah, vibes.
Yeah,
vibes.
thank
Of
you.
course.
I'm so excited. I also cried. The entire
good.
third act, I cried. But it was
Yes.
Yeah.
So I usually say from the lobby onwards is when we all cried.
Yes.
Because that lobby scene. How many times have you seen it, Amanda?
Just once, but
Just once, okay.
here where I am, they actually canceled show times for the weekend because
Oh,
of COVID,
yes.
and
Yeah.
people are pissed off. So I have tickets for
That's
Tuesday.
terrible.
They didn't
Okay.
refund my tickets for Tuesday, so I'm gonna bring my cousin. But I'm trying to
Okay.
like
Nice.
bring my entire family who haven't gone to the theater in like 2 years. They still haven't gone. So I'm
Okay.
like, I want to bring you all. This
I
is
wanted my
massive.
whole family to go, and my mom and dad were like, because they were supposed to go with me last night, but then like stuff came up with like work and stuff, so they couldn't. But I was like,
Mhm.
just come with me. My dad's like, I have no idea what's gonna happen. He goes, I don't remember anything from Tobey Maguire. I've never seen Andrew Garfield. I haven't watched Loki. I don't know anything. Like I just,
Yeah.
I was like, how about your homework is to watch it, and then when it comes out on Blu-ray, we'll all watch it as a family. But I will scream just as loud as I did in the theater.
I'm
Literally.
taking my parents tomorrow. And
Love.
right
Hey.
now,
Good.
my mom, for some reason that he doesn't know about, my mom is making my dad watch the Amazing Spider-Man movies because I didn't care about them, so I never made my dad watch it. Because usually I
Okay.
watch the movies with him. But now it's
Yeah.
his mission to get through them, to get to the good part, in my
Good.
opinion, of
Good.
the Andrew Garfield one.
Yes.
Now, before we get going on all the many spoilers we got to talk about, once more, everyone watching, final spoiler warning, because I do want to get to a little, not necessarily the ending of the film, but I do want to get to something that is cemented by the end of the film. I was wrong. I am happily eating my words. Spider-Man is staying in the MCU. He's not going anywhere. They're not throwing him out to the Sony, the Spunk universe or the Spider-Man universe of Marvel characters.
Thank God.
Zach,
I know.
how happy were you that I was wrong on this regard?
Well, I've told you, like, if no matter how this film ended, if it ended in a way where he left the MCU, I would have not been happy. Because I've been saying it for like months. I'm like, it makes no sense. I mean, okay, yes, legally I guess it makes sense to, if Sony wants to pull him out. But like, you created him in this universe. Do not leave. If you want to do Spider-Man, just make a Spider-Man in your world, You have Ben Reilly. You have Miles Morales. Fuck, you have Andrew Garfield that I guarantee would probably come back. Which again, we're talking spoilers, right? Right?
Yes, we're talking spoilers.
Okay, well,
Yes.
Andrew Garfield's in this fucking movie, and he has never missed a beat. He's never missed a beat. He's fucking, and you know, I fucking screamed when he came. He's so perfect. He's so perfect. I want interviews with him now, talking about it, because those.
I want him to keep denying it. I want him to keep denying it.
He's like, no,
until he dies.
That'd be great. But
I cry. I like.
So
they're so perfect.
They're so perfect. Both of them
tears.
were great.
Tears.
But yeah, it's like you have that, and honestly, this is what I'm gonna say. I love how they continue. I know we'll talk more about it. I love how they continued Andrew Garfield's arc, and like him coming back to like around like, you know, after Gwen's death, and what happens in this movie. The next best thing is mentoring a fucking Spider-Man. Bring in Miles Morales, make Andrew Garfield be the mentor, and do that. It won't confuse the audience. The audience at this point, or at that point, if it ever happens, had seen this film. Guarantee it, because this movie is making all the money in the world, all the money. And
not the Ridley Scott film, thankfully.
Can you guys imagine if? Hey, yes.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's going on?
I
Pulled up to the party.
Good morning.
My fault, guys. My fault. I got this drink this morning called Double Torture. So hopefully it'll double torture me like you two handsome fellas.
Hey. Well, we're just happy to have you here, man. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Thank God he's not leaving the MCU. That ending of the film, though, is one of my favorite endings to any comic book film ever.
Period.
We'll get to that.
Ending this coming of age trilogy in such an amazing way. And now he is officially Spider-Man. Like I just feel like now he understands who Spider-Man is, and he embodies that. And I'm gonna cry again. So someone else take the word.
Amanda, what are your thoughts? Spider-Man staying in the MCU. Did you have like any thoughts whether he was going to leave, whether he was going to stay?
I thought that they were going to do a switcheroo. I've said it on different streams and on Leo's channel. I said that they were going to do a switcheroo with Andrew Garfield, and that Andrew was going to stay. And then that was going to be the Spider-Man. Kind of similar to what Zach was saying, but in a different way. But I would love to have Andrew come back and do like his third installment and do something like that, because he was just absolute perfection in this. And my cousin, who never like attempted to like watch the Amazing Spider-Man movies because she's like cares about Andrew Garfield, I'm like, you're wrong. So now like she watched it, and she watched No Way Home, and she's like, holy he's really good. And I'm like, yeah, where have you been? Like, go back and watch this. So
he's the best part of those movies. So
right, and he's just so fun, and he just like he put that suit on. He's like, I'm back, fam. Like, we're gonna have so much fun with this character again. And like, if people can learn to appreciate Garfield after watching No Way Home, like we already won with that, and he deserves that.
This guy,
yeah. So yeah.
Leo, your thoughts? He's staying. Our boy is staying in the MCU, baby.
Man, oh man, I'm happy about that. You know, look, man, I did get a glimmer of hope last night. Was like, man, Amazing Spider-Man 3 would be pretty tight. But now that it hasn't happened, I'm like, look, Andrew, I loved your performance. Goodbye, my friend. It has been real. I'm so happy Thomas staying. Like, I'm ecstatic, especially after getting the final like sequence of No Way Home, and he's running in this new suit that looks very similar to his Amazing Spider-Man suit. Not the movie, the comic, but really, really just so ecstatic.
It has the back on the back though. It looks like Garfield's logo.
Yeah, it does.
That's what I love.
And the shiny blue is so cool. And
that's my favorite suit they've done yet. That's my favorite suit.
So
yeah, I'm looking forward to another Holland.
Look at that.
It looks
baby.
epic.
There we go.
Like so amazing.
Ooh, look at that.
I'm getting a
Even
hot.
the spider
like,
looks different.
I want a hot toy of that.
Oh, dude,
like,
I saw your tweet.
No, seriously, this is what like the day they and I told Ren this. The day they announced Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Andrew, Toby, and that. I will throw down 1,000, 2,000. I don't care.
Get them all.
I'll just go on the Funkos. No hot toys here.
See that too.
Like all the things
down.
This movie take all the money, man. Like,
Mhm.
What a great
It's
way
doing
to end
it.
the year.
It is taking all the money, actually,
Yes.
which is great.
As it deserves.
I can't wait to get like
Yeah,
a friendly
absolutely.
neighborhood Spider-Man in the next one, guys. Like we're gonna finally
Oh,
get him
Yeah.
like protecting the city, no Stark Tech, nothing, just
love-
hitting the streets.
Yeah,
Thank
but
God.
Yes.
remember, we have another one when he's tying in. They said the producer said, you know, we lend one, they lend one, we're lending one next. So what's that one we're gonna lend? I'm sure we'll discuss it, like what our predictions are of where he'll show up.
Yes.
I imagine he'll show up next in his actual own film. It's kind of a bit harder to since everyone doesn't know who. Well, I mean, everyone knows who Spider-Man is, just no one knows who Peter Parker
sir.
is. So
Exactly.
but yeah, Ren, you know, back to you, man. Any more
Back to me.
thoughts on it?
No, I'm just happy he's staying. I have never, well, I've been happier that I was wrong before, but this is top 3, top 5 at least times I was very happy I was wrong. Our boy is staying. Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, because one of the things I love about this film, and I don't want to get ahead of myself or the things we're going to discuss, but
Mhm.
it's when it clicks that, oh shit, this is an origin story for Spider-Man as we know him. And all the things that were supposedly missing from this Spider-Man that we always get in the other Spider-Man stories,
Yeah.
boom, this is it.
It was
And
told in a
he
different
becomes
way.
his own.
And
Yes.
I think it not just enhances the character, it enhances
Mhm.
Homecoming and Far From Home, which I already love both of those. So the
Mhm.
fact
yeah.
that it actually enhances those, and the next time I go back and rewatch them, like I've always loved them, but I always have had those thoughts of like, okay, well, where is Uncle Ben? Why aren't we referencing him? Why
Yeah.
like there's these conversational pieces of why aren't these elements in here? And I think these changes were for the better. Where, you know, most remakes or reboots don't do that way. And I think this is the best way that you could have done it. I mean, god damn. Marissa Tomei.
Oof.
Fantastic,
We'll get
bro.
to that
She
in a
had
bit.
me
So
thinking
good.
way differently. Like when she got up out the
Ugh.
rubble, I was like, "Yay, Aunt May, she survived!"
They fooled me. They
Yeah,
fooled me.
same.
I'm like, oh, okay, it's
Just
good.
excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, explain to me though why my friend, he hasn't seen this movie yet. He's going today. His little brother, I guess his dad took him the day before, and he
Oh,
walks
okay.
in and he tells my friend, he goes, Aunt May died.
Oh,
That was his first time. He asked him what he thought of the movie. He goes, I'm sad, Aunt May died.
No.
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
damn. That's pretty dark.
That's
such a big
disappointing.
one. I know.
that's
it's
a
such
terrible
big
thing
spoiler.
to do to your
like-
brother.
I know.
He's no brother of mine. He's
Amen.
Let's
so-
go. Let's
I'm
go
sorry,
into
little one.
Yeah. I'm sorry, little one. It's just-
Like you're on another side of the family now. Oh,
You're on the kids' table for life.
I fought a
when it
green
comes to the
alien. I
holidays.
fought a green or a purple alien in space and on
on Earth.
Yeah.
I'm still
So
on the you
good.
found an alien in space. But let's start with the small spoilers. Like it's a big moment, we know, but I love how they just nonchalantly cut to a scene and boom, there's Matt Murdock. He's Peter's lawyer. He catches the brick. Goodbye. One of my favorite elements also about this scene is that he has this quick interaction with Happy, and Jon Favreau played Foggy Nelson in Ben Affleck's
Yeah.
Daredevil,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
was a really cool Easter egg. But I just love how he's in, he's out, and on the same day that Hawkeye, also spoilers for Hawkeye by the way, in case you're watching and you're not caught up on Hawkeye, the same day technically that Hawkeye gives us Kingpin, Spider-Man No Way Home brings in Matt Murdock, who's a really good lawyer, at least according to him.
Yeah.
Leo, your thoughts, what did you feel when you first watched it, when this scene came up? Was it that, oh, okay, cool, they're giving it to us, or was there an euphoria?
so I was in the first screening I was in. It was just all critics, and it was about 9 of us. And there was me and one
Okay.
other lady like went nuts. Like as soon as Matt and what's crazy is like I felt like that was a little bit more comfort, like a little more knowledge that Toby and Andrew to be in it. Because I going in, I was like, okay, they very well might. Let's kind of temper those expectations. But the
Yeah.
fact that they just got to that Matt Murdock cameo that quickly was
Yeah.
a
And
the
little
press saw it.
reassuring.
The press saw it. I give
Yeah.
major credit. I know there was many
Mm.
reports and leaks and stuff, but the fact that the press saw that first 20, 38 minutes or
Yep.
whatever and no one said anything. I
Well,
mean, I'm sure
besides
yeah.
John Cambia, nobody said anything. I was like, "Are you serious?" Like literally, I pointed to the 2 shots that he leaked when I saw him, and I'm like, "Well, Cambia, you messed it up for somebody." So here we are.
Technically, the shot of Daredevil that he shared is not in the film.
It's
The one
behind
where
the
we don't
scenes
get
though.
that-
So
we
someone
don't
took
get
that
the
thing
wide
behind
shots.
the scenes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
true.
really? For some
But
reason,
the
I thought that was
other-
like
I
the
noticed
last
that
shot
too.
of them together.
No, but the other shot is.
I
in the
will
film.
say
Yeah,
though,
the
there
three of
was
them
they
looking.
did film one more scene with Matt Murdock. That wasn't supposed to be the first scene he comes into. The first scene he
Oh.
comes into was supposed to be a courtroom scene.
Oh,
They
see, I'm
they
okay
did
with
film a
him not
courtroom.
though. I'm okay
Nah.
with
Yeah.
him not because I
want
think
more.
just dropping him in and throwing him in and then taking him right out is a nice tease to
Mhm.
what's to come
Mhm.
potentially.
And I think it helps the pacing though, because
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
there's a lot in there that they cut out. So they also cut out Tom Holland's brother being like a burglar. So you know the part
That's
where
right,
the paint
yeah.
gets
Oh,
thrown
yeah,
on
drug
him
addicted.
Mhm.
in that
Mhm.
close. That was a whole scene. That was a whole scene.
I'm
of
glad
him
they
catching-
did because the pacing
So-
would have just came to a standstill there if they
Mhm.
had kept
Yeah.
all that.
I don't
in
even
the
know how you would have
courtroom
done
and
it
stuff.
because would it have just felt like, oh, now I'm Spider-Man and everyone hates me. Some people hate me in this world, and and then if they would have done the courtroom scene, yes, it would have been awesome to see Matt Murdock defending him. But
Yeah.
it was better to just because Peter never had to go to court. There's no real
Right.
substantial evidence
Mhm.
that he
Mhm.
did anything wrong. It's a he said, she said type of thing. And
Exactly.
like you can edit stuff. So like that's the thing that I liked how they handled because yes, we would have all loved to see Matt Murdock fucking defend him in court.
Yo,
Yeah.
him catching
would
that
have been
brick
great.
was enough.
That
Him
was
catching that
amazing.
brick and just
That was
boom.
amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
so
he's already Daredevil.
I'm a really
Like
good
he's already
lawyer.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Like,
Which I
I'm a-
love that we don't have to like establish that here that
So
he has
Yes.
to be Daredevil.
over I know we all have the theory that this is just like a variant version of him, right?
Oh,
Like
100%.
this
I think
isn't
it's
the
a
exact same
retcon for
one.
sure. Like I think
But
they're retconning him. Kingpin.
Is there a chance that it is the exact same version? I mean, they
No.
could.
I wish. Like I
Mm-mm.
want him to be the same.
I think
one.
that Netflix verse stuff. They're like, nope, push that
Can we
out as
just?
far as
I guess we'll
possible.
see next week though with Hawkeye though. Depends
Yeah.
how Kingpin acts. If
Yeah.
Kingpin
Yeah.
is the exact, I mean, if he mentions Vanessa and a Daredevil, I wouldn't be.
But he
surprised
could
if-
have a Vanessa in this.
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Much like Kingpin in Spider-Verse
What if-
was seeking a Vanessa
What
in
if the
another
end
universe.
credit scene for Hawkeye, the last episode of Hawkeye, is Daredevil?
I hope so.
I think
Or,
it's gonna
like,
be
Kingpin
Spider-Man, believe it
mentioning-
or not. I think they're gonna just
Oy.
like point
Ooh.
outside and be like, "Oh, Spider-Man swinging, y'all. Let's look." And then it's like maybe you don't
That'd
have
be
to even
cool.
show Tom or anything. maybe
Oh,
a couple sound
okay.
effects,
Just
but
like,
just like,
like
hey,
that too.
Spider-Man's here. Like,
just
Yeah.
put everybody in this finale.
Yes.
It's like
Load it
everyone.
up.
Everyone's in New York. Like, come on.
Yeah, everyone
It's
really
true.
like a
is. So.
Chavez,
Right.
load it up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Amanda, what are your thoughts on this Daredevil scene? What did you feel?
I again, like we kind of knew, I knew, we all kind of knew, but just seeing him. So half my theater, I had one of the best freaking audiences for this. I was truly blessed,
Yes.
honestly. But with Daredevil, I had one of my friends who never watched the Netflix show, so I had to like lean over, like, that's Matt Murdock, that's Daredevil. And then on the other side, it was like my cousin knew, but half the theater had no idea who he was, and the other half was just like straight up cheering, like that's Matt. We were all excited. I did want a bit more, but now that I heard that Zach was saying about the pacing, like I completely agree that like that courtroom scene shouldn't have been like in there, like because it wouldn't have flowed properly. But I would have, it's Matt. Like we got him back. But as Ren said, that brick that he caught it was just
It was
freaking
perfect.
amazing, and everyone was screaming, was like, "Oh!" It's like he caught it. And it
Yeah.
was just so great, the most animated thing ever. But I'm really happy that he was in this, and
Mhm.
as the movie goes on, like I have to remind myself that he was even in it because of everything else
Yeah.
that happened.
Mhm.
It's like, wait, we did get Matt Murdock. Like,
Yeah.
be excited for that, but like you can kind of forget because there's so many things that happen.
There's so many things, and it happens with
Eh.
what the first 25 minutes of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
real
And
quick.
there's no pomp and circumstance to it. It's just there he is.
And it's
Yeah.
perfect because did your guys' audience flip out once they saw his cane?
Oh yes.
Yes.
My
Yes.
second and third audience is yes. They
Yes.
The
went
second,
nuts.
the
My-
second
yeah.
you see the cane,
My first and second.
Yeah.
the second
That's
you
what
see
it
that
was.
cane, it's like, oh my god, it's
Really
him.
good.
Just a
Like,
collective.
There's a moment of gasp. There's a moment of gasp because I'm assuming everyone thought, okay, that's Daredevil, but is it Charlie Cox? And then it cuts to him, and yes,
Yeah.
it's Charlie Cox.
Yes.
My
God.
girlfriend's first reaction to that, she turns to me and she goes, "So we're this closer to having Johnny back as Punisher." I said, "I hope to God. I hope to God."
I hope she's right.
Could you guys imagine if there was a courtroom scene though? It would feel like it hit a brick wall with this kind of pacing. 'Cause
Maybe
think
though.
about it, like
you never
if
know
it was
though,
like
because
after that scene, a little bit after, it's like, okay, we got a courtroom.
that's
we got
where I
5,
actually
10
give
minutes, like,
John
okay.
Watts major credit. Because remember that Far From Home
Mm.
scene of him in the spider suit fighting those guys in that restaurant that was completely cut
Yeah.
out?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys ever saw when they re-released that and actually put that back in the
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
did feel weird in the way that it was placed. Awesome scene, but it felt weird.
Mhm.
John Watts is really good, and I have to give him credit where that's due at pacing these
Yeah.
movies. I don't think any of these movies ever feel dull or too long. They feel, even though I want to be spoiled and get more, especially from this movie. I mean, I
Yeah.
could have had the last act could have been 2 hours long. That would have been fine.
It's
Amen,
true.
bro.
Well, we gotta
So-
wait for that DVD to come out.
4-hour Spidey
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Give it to
I'm
me.
down.
Or
Give
do
it to me.
Please,
Director's
there's
cut.
behind the scenes. Please tell me there's behind the scenes
Yeah.
making.
I want a documentary, to be perfectly honest. Like just a
Oh,
straight
they're
up
gonna do
documentary of
an
making this
assembled,
movie.
right? They gotta do.
They
an
have
They
assembled.
have
to.
Got
to.
to.
They
Got
have to, unless because it's Sony and it won't be on
Well,
D Plus.
that is
but-
true.
Mm.
But
Because
they have
technically
the
this-
deal in 2022, right? Or is it
2023.
Fingers
2023.
crossed.
Netflix has it for 2022. So
Yeah.
2022,
Damn it.
Netflix gets this movie.
They're all
makes
on
sense.
there.
Well, it's gonna come
Every
on a
single
Blu-ray.
Spidey film's on there.
For you.
Which is crazy. For
Not
me,
for
yes,
you.
Canada.
US.
Sorry, correction.
not
Not that I
cool.
want to give you false
Yeah,
information.
like,
but yeah.
Forget them US kids. They don't deserve
Sorry.
it. On Hulu with the premium subscription.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get it on the Steelbook. That's why you should buy physical media because you get all the
Z-
special features. You don't need
what's
Disney Plus.
Zavi's steelbook is up right now for it. It's actually really
Oh,
cool
it is,
looking.
and it's gorgeous. It's
But I'm
gorgeous.
waiting. I'm
Can you bring
holding
it up,
out.
Zach? Can you bring it up?
Yeah,
search
I'm
for
holding
it.
out though
I
because
won't.
I goddamn know they're gonna do one with Toby and Andrew.
They just announced Eternals and Spider-Man Steelbooks this weekend. I already pre-ordered them, but that's just me.
This is
I
Mondo?
love it.
Wait, who is this?
Zavi.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got it.
All right, another
Oh.
small spoiler that I want to talk about.
It's sold
yeah.
out. That's cool.
Oh, but you can bring
Naturally.
up the image, right?
Yeah.
Naturally.
Mm.
This beaut. Look at her.
Oh man, that's sold
Ooh.
out. Dang, man.
I
would've
like that a
loved
lot. They
Look at
have
the
to do
thickness, too.
one with the
They
trio.
gotta have something.
They have to.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right,
I-
Zach? Yeah,
Yeah,
Thick,
I
thick.
mean,
they have to.
by the because
Absolutely.
honestly, are we next week? They're releasing a trailer with them, all right, before Christmas.
Oh, they
they're,
got
they're,
it.
yeah.
they're one or a
Best
poster.
gift.
Even if
something.
it's not like unmasked, maybe that shot where they land on the Statue of Liberty's head, and and there was only one of them in the trailer, but now you'll get the. I have a shot.
I
I'll bring it up.
I
I am
cried.
going to get that printed on a 4K whatever printed, and I'm going to
Yes.
frame that. I want the artwork
Yeah.
for this movie. I want
Yeah.
everything,
bro.
Yeah,
like
Everything.
100%.
All of it. I'm gonna get it tattooed all over my body. Just all 3 Spideys, baby.
On your
Yeah.
bag?
And
On your
you know
bag?
what- you know what I love about these movies is like I feel like everyone's so respectful in the theaters. Like people don't talk. Like I mean they talk, but you know what I mean. Like it's not in an annoying way. And like the people that sit next to you, I don't know about you guys. You just talk to random people. Like the people that sitting next to me, my friend, were like they heard that we had already that I had already seen it. So they're like, please tell us when it's okay to go to the bathroom because they're like, I got a bladder problem. I'm gonna have
There
to
is
go.
no moment
So-
where it's okay to go.
so no, there came a point where I was like, "Have you seen all the?" I asked him, I was like, "Have you seen all the trailers?" He goes, "Yes." And it was coming up to the Scooby Doo scene, and I was like, "Run now!" I was like,
Yeah.
"Run now!" And dude, this kid got up and sprinted. He goes, "I'm not missing it." I was like, "This is kind of like the point of no return. Like if you don't go to the bathroom here,
Yep.
Yep,
y-
that's
You're
it.
gonna be confused,
done.
or you're just gonna be like pissed."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so good.
All right. Another small spoiler I wanted to talk about is let me get my notes. That Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme now,
Yeah.
guys. And that makes total sense.
Yes.
On a technicality, though.
Yes. I mean, but it's as they established in the first Doctor Strange, the universe always needs a Sorcerer Supreme. There always needs to be like an overseer, a guardian to the universe. And Strange was gone, so somebody had to overtake it.
Mhm.
Zach,
There you go.
what
Which
did you
means he
think
was-
of this?
Well, it makes me
Yeah.
rethink Shang-Chi because now
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
he was
Yep.
Sorcerer Supreme during there. The fuck is he doing? He's just having fun.
And,
Beating
and
up
also
the
makes you
Abomination.
rethink this. Also makes you
Yeah.
rethink this. So like, what is he doing there? And what's gonna? I'm just happy that he still has a role and clearly now a big role. But now I'm intrigued about what his role is, and we do see him in the post credits thing at the very end. We do see that he's gonna have a role to play
I
next
wonder
to
if he's
Strange.
like rehabilitating like villains. You know what I mean? Like, what if
That
he's
could be
doing that with
it.
Abomination? You know,
Yeah.
True.
That'd be
like
interesting.
it's interesting to see what Wong is doing, but also Wong's just an awesome character. So like, I'm so
Yeah.
like I met him once at Sundance, and he was the nicest fucking guy in the entire world. Like, he was like hugging everyone, shaking everyone's hand. Like, he is just so, and it was for 9 days. So like, like everyone was already an emotional wreck, and he was just
What a
like
movie.
I still gotta
he's
watch.
so you fucking kidding me?
It's not here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Like,
I just
get
VPN
on that
stuff.
shit.
VPN
sorry.
that stuff. Do a trial run on like one of
I'll
the
try.
VPNs.
Bootleg
Fine.
that sucker is what he's saying.
Bootleg.
But yeah, I liked it.
yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah, Manda, what about you?
I thought it was hilarious. Just the shade. It's like he was just so shady to Doctor Strange. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, because like he did like disappear, and you have every right to jump in and do what you got to do. But
Yeah.
Wong is such a fun character, and I almost think that like that portal like is obviously linked to Shang-Chi too. So I think that's what he was doing throughout this, because I'm still so confused of the timelines of what's happening right now and where everyone is. And like you try to figure it out and your brain hurts. So it's just like you're just gonna go with the flow because you can't watch everything at once to try to figure out where everyone's even going. So but yeah, I love that they added that little tidbit, and they have great chemistry. Wong and Strange have great
so good.
chemistry and just made those scenes so much fun. So I'm happy for them.
And I really love the exchange of the. Do you remember the something of whatever? And he's like, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Leo, what about you? What are your thoughts on Wong, Sorcerer Supreme?
Loved it. I feel like Marvel, we are in this phase of Wong here, where we got him in What If, we got him in Shang-Chi.
Yes.
Now he's the Sorcerer Supreme. They're hearing
And
our
maybe
call,
that's why
man.
we
Like,
got
we
him.
love Wong.
Well, and that is true. They did hear us because of how we reacted to him in the first Doctor Strange.
yeah,
He's
Yeah.
such a
we loved him.
standout, dude. Like I love it.
Which
like, give him
which
his
also
own show.
means that by Endgame he was already the Sorcerer Supreme. So that's how he got everybody coming.
Benedict,
Yeah.
man, he's just he's got so much charm in that role, and
Yes.
him and Strange work off of each other incredibly.
Yeah.
Look, man, give us Wong in every movie. I'm cool with it.
No, and I
Yes.
just think it goes like
I'm
I
with
think
you.
we understate how great of an actor Benedict Cumberbatch is, because like if you go watch Power of Dog,
My
then you like
God.
see the electrical life of Lewis Wayne, and then you watch this, it's like those were 3 separate characters that guy became in such
And the Courier.
and the Courier. Oh my
Mm,
God,
that's
a very
right.
You'll have to
underrated
watch
movie
that.
too. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible to see what he does as an actor, and I just like I love him as Strange. I cannot wait
Yes.
for Multiverse
Yeah.
of Madness. Like
I'm
that
excited.
is it's gonna be insane.
Could you imagine anybody else as Strange now? Like, it's like
No.
he
I mean,
is
it was supposed to
now-
be Joaquin Phoenix, remember? And like
Mm.
I couldn't I could never see that now. I could never see that. Maybe Multiverse of Madness I could.
Yeah, an alternate
Maybe.
version, maybe. All right, the small spoilers are done. I say let's get to the baddies. Even though I'm
Yes,
bringing this
baby.
one up.
God.
Amanda, you're clearly excited.
God.
Give us your thoughts.
God. Oh my God. He is literally the best thing to ever happen to any superhero franchise. Like literally, he blew my
Yeah.
mind. The thing is that with Willem Dafoe, he is my favorite Spider-Man villain ever. Like, I love the first Spider-Man more than anything. I'm sorry, Leo, about Spider-Man 2. We get into arguments all the time, but it's just like I love the first one, and having Gobby back was ridiculous just because Willem Dafoe owns that role. He stole the spotlight, I think. I did feel a bit cheated though on the bridge scene, because I was ready to kind of see him like go into action with the glider, and then it would just like it cut in 2 seconds. I was like, guys, why are you doing this? Like,
That
you
was
put that in the
strange.
trailer. I was so excited, and I'm like, he's gonna go, and then like flat. I was like, okay, we're doing that, but he was brilliant. He put on a clinic. His laugh, his faces, like he just went all in. He could have, he literally could have phoned this in. Half of the villains could have phoned this in.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they just, the commitment, it's like everyone put their stuff back on and just went straight into that mindset and
like they
blew us
like they
away.
played the character yesterday. I mean,
Exactly.
this if I was voting for the Oscars, I would vote Dafoe. I'm
Yes.
serious,
Yeah.
like for best supporting
baby.
actor.
100%.
This year isn't the strongest.
Very
I would
thin
put
in
him
that
in the top
category.
5 category. Like I would
Yeah.
put him in the top 5. I'm not saying he should
100%.
win, but he should be nominated because
Yes.
Dafoe. I mean, when I was a kid and my parents took me to see the first Spider-Man at a drive-in, I barely wanted to watch the movie because of this motherfucker. His mask scared me. His performance scared me. And Dafoe is a scary guy, but he plays this role to a T. And Amanda, like you said on the bridge, that was another scene they cut. It was supposed to be longer, and they
See?
did cut it.
Ah.
They
Yeah.
again reshoots. That's what the reshoots were used for.
Okay.
Where a lot of it was for pacing wise, was to get the
Okay.
pacing down. Because I think the original cut of the film was like 2:55, so they were trying to.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
I would have taken
Give me
it.
that
Pull it
cut.
out of it.
Yeah.
Like, give me that 30 minutes, man.
But I gotta be honest, when I heard that the mask wasn't gonna be in the movie for much, or even really at all,
Yeah.
I was very disappointed because that is like one of the most iconic things to me.
Yeah.
When he destroyed it, I was like, that's it.
Same.
But I think that was for the best because without that, we wouldn't have gotten to see his facial reactions, his laugh, just the way. One of the best scenes is when Peter's on top of him, beating the shit out of him,
And
in
he's
the hallway.
changing the smile.
and his smile gets bigger and bigger on each
Phenomenal.
punch,
all good.
and he starts to laugh, and then he just throws him through the ground. Like,
Oh,
what a
I
perfect
can't wait till we talk
moment.
about that fight
My
scene.
my
Oh.
cousin's little kid who's 6 years old, I asked him what his favorite moment was, and he said the 3 Spider-Men and when Goblin got punched in the face multiple times, like very violently. But
awesome.
like that performance right there, and shout out to him, he did most of his own stunts. Like you can tell
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
God,
you can totally
awesome.
tell. He hasn't missed a beat at all in the physical performance.
So now he's considered
in
an MCU
the
villain though
dialogue.
now, right?
I consider him
Yeah.
an MCU villain.
So is he
Absolutely.
top three now?
100%.
Is
I'm-
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I'm with Ren. I gotta think about that one. I'm
Let's
like,
do it. Why not?
Maybe
Not
top
Gotham.
10, I would say. Maybe top 10, but I don't know if top 3 because Thanos, Wenwu, Loki's still up there.
I don't. For
Um,
me, I just don't even count Loki anymore.
I still got Kingpin up in that top 3, so I'm like, I don't know.
Also
about that
fair.
I
much.
mean, you definitely
Yeah.
gotta have Kingpin now too. That's
Yeah.
another one that you gotta add to
Yeah.
the list if we didn't before.
If
But
we argue
I-
Killgrave, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
yes.
Kilgrave
Phenomenal.
coming back would be.
I
Another level.
loved Willem Dafoe in this as well.
Yes.
He to me, and we'll get to this later, but I don't consider him the main villain of this film. But as far as like the villains roster that they brought back, he had so much gravitas, and you can see the gears shifting in his head
Yep.
when he says, I'm something of a scientist myself. And then
Died laughing.
it's just really cool to see him interact with Peter Parker as
Their
scientists
chemistry is
and
really
working
good.
Yeah.
together.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
yes.
is great. Yeah.
And then the interaction with Doc Ock, which they never got together for
Yeah.
obvious
Yeah.
reasons in the original films.
Which we
And
forget
Doc Ock-
about that we know they're in
Yeah.
the same world, but like they
Mhm.
never
Yeah.
did interact. so.
Exactly. And,
Yeah, when he just stepped through the shadow and he's like, Otto, I'm like, oh my God, they're talking.
It was
Dude.
magic.
And that's where I love is the interactions between all the villains, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more.
Yes.
But like out of all villains, Defoe was the big standout for me. Like
Yes.
this,
Oh,
not
100%.
just.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
even argue, I think his performance was better in this than the first Spider-Man because he was able to give a little bit
Ooh.
more depth, especially when he's like when he goes, "There's no Oscorp. My
My
son's
son-
not here.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Someone's living in my house."
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that was it's so
Which
tragic.
I thought,
because-
Who is living in your house?
Same. I was
Right?
like, can you spill the beans, please?
Yeah,
Like,
we still don't know who bought the tower. We know it's not Oscorp now, though.
Fist?
So
It's gonna
it's
gonna
Kingpin.
be
Yeah, it's
Doom.
Kingpin.
It's gonna
Most
be
likely.
Doom.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did get
Or
a
Doom.
super chat, by the way. I don't know if you want to take it
Yes,
off.
I was just seeing because we got a $20 super chat. Thank you. Oh,
woo!
thank you so
Ding,
much, Hot
ding.
Takes for Nerds. That's our
Yay.
good friend Chandler. My favorite movie of the year and one of the best MCU films ever. Hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much. A great day to you as well. Definitely one of my favorites this year, and it's my number 6 in the MCU overall. Zach, where do you rank it in the MCU?
It's my number 1.
Yeah.
And my ranking's going up, and right after this, you guys can go watch my full ranking. I ranked
Woo-woo.
all the MCU
Yes.
stuff, Hawkeye
Nice.
included.
Yes, you did.
So, but yeah, this is. I went back and forth. I actually like started rewatching Guardians again because Guardians has been my
Ooh.
number 1 since I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, it beats it finally. I'm like, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, this is my end game. Like the feeling that you had, like I love
Yeah.
Endgame, but like the feeling that I know Ren had walking out of Endgame, I'm like, this is my end game. So
Yes.
Yeah,
Man, I'm going to
amen.
assume you agree that it's your number 1 in the MCU.
Listen, I absolutely adore the Winter Soldier. You guys know how much I love it, but the feeling I got for No Way Home, like that thing is number 1 for me now. So I was surprised too, but oh man, walking out of that theater, I'm like, this was fantastic. I got to put it at number 1. So yeah.
Leo, what about you?
Still bubbling around in my top 3. You know, I was on a Suit Up
Okay.
Geek stream the other day, and I was like, okay, I have it at number 1. And I got up the next day, and I was like, well, it's kind of number 2 for me. I don't know. Infinity War is still kind of up there.
what are
Black
your
Panther's
top
still
3,
in there.
Leo?
Huh?
What is your top 3? What's your other 2 then?
Oh, Infinity War and Black Panther bookend.
Okay.
So it's
Mhm.
number 2, Infinity War number 1, Black Panther number 3. But I mean, seriously, it's right there. It's right there. The only reason why it's not above Endgame for me is because Endgame set up a completely different tone than any of these movies with its ending.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's true.
True.
This
It's
says
true.
I mentioned it at the top. This is my favorite ending in a comic book film for a while. I
Yeah,
haven't left
it's
the movie,
good.
Why?
and
It's
now I'm
up
like,
there.
I need to see the next one now.
Yeah.
And this is the one thing.
Immediately.
I think this is the good thing that, well, there's pros and cons to Sony still having this. The pro is we won't have to wait 5 years to get the sequel. We will
Yeah.
get it probably by 2023, I assume. Maybe 2024, but I'm pretty sure they have to do it every 2 years. So
Fast track this. Get rid of Morbius and all Craven, all that. Just fast track this, please.
well, no, wait, we forgot. 2023 has 3 release dates. One's in October, one's during the summer, and one's in January. January's is
Summer.
Craven. October's clearly Venom 3. That middle one, you're gonna tell me June ain't
most
Spider-Man?
likely.
You're gonna
That's
tell me
gotta
June
be
ain't
Yeah.
Spider-Man?
Man.
So
It has
Gotta
to
be
be
Spider-Man.
summer. Yeah.
All right, everyone. We talked about Defoe, and by the way, I really love that they didn't skimp out on the villains' arcs, and they keep
Yeah.
true to their
Mhm.
identity. He goes for the heart, Osborn. The heart. Zach, some of the other highlights when it comes to the villains, we had Sandman constantly
Yeah.
in his sand form, I guess we'll call it that. We had Doc Ock, Electro, Lizard.
which
What are some of the
want to
highlights
ask you guys,
from
did
them?
you notice something when it came to Lizard and Sandman?
Lizard?
There's a specific
The shots
thing.
from other movies.
Yep, there's those shots we see
Hmm.
him as humans. Those are the exact shots from Spider-Man 3
Yeah.
reversed,
Oh,
and the exact
Really?
shot from Lizard. They
Yep.
were never on set because of COVID. They
Yep.
couldn't get them because of
Oh.
COVID.
I didn't know.
Because when he was looking at his hand, I'm like, that
Yeah.
looks very familiar, Ryan.
Yep.
I see you.
Yep, I recognized that last night because my sister just watched all the Toby ones for the first time and all the Andrew ones for the first time. So I'd pop in and out, and like I would watch certain scenes, and I noticed that, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay,
That's
that
a
makes sense. So
shame
they got
that
them
they
back for
weren't
the
there.
voices, but they couldn't do the full thing
Yeah.
of having them on set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
worked.
So,
Yeah.
Though
I like
though
that they did
Flint, when he goes back to human, it looks like he had more of the curly hair in the comics that he doesn't have in the
Yeah.
Mhm.
in the Raimi movies, Raimi movie. So it might have been a VFX situation.
I think that was
what
their
are your
big
highlights
worry.
on them?
My highlights, man. I don't know because I thought all of them were so great. Like not Doc Ock. Green Goblin is obviously like my main standout. Like
Yeah.
Defoe was so good. But when you look at all of them, like I thought Alfred Molina again steps right back into this role like he was never gone, and he's so good as Doc Ock. And I love when he gets healed and he goes, "I'm
Yeah.
so grateful, my good boy." And
My dear boy.
my dear boy, and he shakes his hand. But I mean, the part that I started crying at, and I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more, is when he reunites with Tobey Maguire. And I love when Toby's like, and he's like, "How are you doing, my boy?" And he goes, "Trying to do better." And I'm like, "Oh, you said it. You fucking said it." So, that whole bridge sequence is awesome. That whole bridge sequence was great. And I love when the Iron Spider suit gets its little things that come out, and it's like, "Oh, we have competition," and it's like, "Boo, boo, boo." Freaking awesome. Man. Jamie Foxx, though, bravo.
Yeah.
You were great. I like him in Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't love him. He was great in here. I love the homage to Terminator from when he comes in. I love how they kept some of Hans Zimmer's score for that, especially when he shoots first. And it was just
I immediately heard the dubstep when he first
I love when Garfield and him interact. That again, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more once we get to Garfield and Tobey, but like their interaction was so well done, and I just love because it goes back to when they first interacted. I will say it's still a little. I'm still confused on why he doesn't have a comb over and fucked up teeth, and why he's all buff and muscular now.
Thank God.
That's the Amazing Spider-Man 2 issues to fix. Not this.
I get it. So, I mean, to get Jamie Foxx back to just say, "Hey, you can be your sexy self," whatever, fucking sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I love Sandman. That's like one of my favorite comic book villains for Spider-Man. So
that's great.
Hearing that he was coming back made me excited. I do think it sucks that he was only in sand form because I love Sandman so much. But for what they used him for, I liked it. And then Lizard too. I was surprised by how much I like the Lizard in this. Like I like that he talked, and I love that they called him a dinosaur because he does look like a fucking dinosaur.
Reese Ifans, man, real good.
Yeah. So I want to ask you guys: did you guys want any other villains to show up? Like any of Tom's villains to show up at all?
Electro. Or I'm not sorry, Mysterio.
Yeah,
Mysterio. I would like him to show up a little more.
Yep.
Technically, he is the sixth villain that started this movie. So
yeah.
Technically, you got six, folks.
Yeah,
it's all a consequence from his action.
No Scorpion though. No Scorpion. We were all maybe predicting that maybe Mark would come in as Scorpion, which, but that's also the crazy thing now. Vulture doesn't know who Spider-Man is. That's the big.
That's right.
Scorpion doesn't know. Nobody knows who Spider-Man.
Well, he still has the grudge, right? Vulture.
Yeah, I mean, so like they all the way that I take it is that
still has a grudge against Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is still like everyone knows who Spider-Man is, just Peter Parker. So like Vulture, but that you make a good point. Now Michael Keaton's Vulture could be the Sinister Six member because he won't have any of those inclinations of him saving his life. It'll just be Spider-Man ruined what I did, which will again cause Peter Parker problems. There's pros and cons to anything he ever does, and that is the issue of being Spider-Man. So okay, that's interesting. That's gonna be interesting.
He's building up that six, y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
Leo, what are your highlights from the other villains outside of Green Goblin?
Well, I do want to touch on one Green Goblin saying that everybody went crazy about last night, and myself included, was when he was talking to the mask and the voice just started up. Oh my God, like
so good.
Great to be back in that Spider-Man 1 mirror moment. Like, yes, we get that duality right on screen together. Love that. Man, just everything. I mean, Zach, you were saying pretty much everything. I thought like the bridge was great. Just seeing Doc Ock become Otto Octavius again, I thought was absolutely brilliantly done. Him working on that little cure, attaching it to back, and then when he like comes back and he's just like everything's so quiet. It's like you kind of forgot that side of Doc Ock because we haven't been with that since Spider-Man 2. So like seeing him come back and be the first one back to being himself, I thought was very fitting.
Say all that stuff so greatly because I've told Ren this before. My biggest hope is that in the future they do introduce versions of these characters in this. A different actor playing Dafoe or a different actor playing Norman.
You kind of need like a Norman Osborn here. Like,
and I would love that because then imagine if he does meet a Harry Osborn or he does meet Doc Ock, say he's one of his professors or a Kurt Connors, he'll be able to go and say, I need to make sure they never go bad.
Yeah.
And that becomes the struggle of Spider-Man of knowing that knowledge of what might happen to them, which that also might, and of course now he knows how to heal them or fix them, but maybe it'll just be completely different. That's what I love about this because now it opens up those doors. And of course, with how we know the MCU, and if you follow along, because it's the thing, the more you put in the MCU, the more you're going to get out. And that's just the truth. If you watch Loki,
stole that from me. Stop stealing my catchphrase.
Hopefully we go Dark Reign with Norman Osborn. That'd be cool instead of going the normal Goblin route.
Yeah, so
something
because then it
different.
would change it out. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just I love what they're doing. So
Oh, and I love what they did with Jamie Foxx's Electro. Thank
It's so
God.
good.
Like they really
I
cleaned
was
up
just gonna
that Max
pretend I'm not
Dillon,
here
but
standing badass naked.
I am.
The line delivery and just like
Sandman,
top
dude.
notch.
I
So
am.
good.
the humor, I didn't think any of the jokes dropped. I thought they are all strong in this,
Yeah,
especially
same. Sharp.
Yeah.
Jacob as Ned gets better in every movie.
Yes, he does.
so
Oh, we're gonna talk
good.
about this trio is the best trio on any
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies as far as
Yes.
not that
Facts.
the Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man had a trio. To be fair, they couldn't compete in that regard.
Yeah.
But Manda, what are any of your highlights for the other villains?
I mean, I agree with everything that has been said right now. I am not a huge Doc Ock fan, as we know, but I did cry at the part where Leo just said it, where he says that he doesn't hear the voices anymore. I don't know what came over me because like I have no attachment to him. I'm like he's Alfred Molina is a great actor. I just didn't have that attachment in Spider-Man 2.
Mhm.
But then with this, I don't know what happened to me. I was just like, "Oh my god, I feel for you." I'm crying because like it was just such a beautiful moment. But for me with this film with all the villains, they hit the nostalgia and it wasn't like punching you like in the face with it. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
overstuffed and it was just like perfectly. I feel like this is one of the most well-written comic book films as well because they just brought everything in, they tied everything in, and it was just like perfectly placed. Like I didn't feel like anyone was like robbed of certain scenes emotionally, and everything hit when it was supposed to. That goes with like all the villains, and I really love that they were healing them as well. So yeah, it was Otto that really got me. Jamie Foxx is hilarious, as we've said. And yeah, it was perfectly balanced too. I think that they had the humorous moments and then like those really emotional ones, like they hit and it wasn't undercut like in some other MCU films. But yeah, Otto really surprised me. I didn't expect to cry. So yeah.
Yeah. No Paul Giamatti though, so that sucks.
Right?
Soon it could happen. We don't know.
After watching Amazing Spider-Man 2, I was like, dang, that one rhino, man. But he mentions him later on, so that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
In a funny way too.
Yeah.
God.
Got the worst villains. I like that they played on their like the things that people criticize them for. Like
Yeah.
Toby with the
Yes.
fluid web, Andrew
Yeah.
Garfield with the
Well, the
villains.
web block too. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Web block, an existential crisis. Like because that was like I remember like nowadays like my sister watched Spider-Man 2 yesterday for the first time. She thought it was stupid. She thought it was the worst Spider-Man movie.
Oh
Because
man.
that and Spider-Man 3, she did not like him at all. She goes, it's dumb. He's super mopey in the second one. Why does he have a web block? And then we go and see this, and she thought it was hilarious because of that exact thing. Because it's a product of its time. Like really, a web block like that's what's getting rid of your things. So
It's so funny.
I get it. But Ren, what about you? If you could only have picked like one standout besides Defoe, is it Doc Ock?
It's Tom Holland for me.
No, I meant the
Because to
villains. I
me-
meant the villains. I mean,
Oh,
Tom
out
Holland,
of the
yeah, I
villains?
don't like it. I meant the
Yeah,
villains.
yeah. Out of the villains, it's Doc Ock because again, I love seeing that interaction when he gets turned, like you guys talked about, and that it's a quick moment, but all the interactions that he has with Norman Osborn, like when he first gets into the basement where they're all trapped, and he's like Norman Osborn, and the quick interactions of how they know so much about each other because obviously they're both famous in the Raimi universe, and then when he's talking about you're about to get cured. No more darker half, just you, and you hear the score by Giacchino comes in that
Mhm.
low vibrancy, and he's like, "Yes, me."
Yeah.
It's these moments that add so much personality, and like Manda very well put herself, it wasn't just for the nostalgia. This was
Right.
always to serve the narrative,
Exactly.
which I
Yeah.
brought up in my spoiler review that I uploaded yesterday. And I think it's the big difference between this very busy Spider-Man movie and the other two very busy Spider-Man movies, where we had a ton of storylines in those ones, and they
Yeah.
were all separated. This is a ton of characters, but they all serve this one storyline, and I love the storyline, which is all Peter's doing. And to me, Peter is the biggest villain in this film because he brings all of this upon himself. He tries to manage an easy way out to not deal
Yeah.
with those consequences, and the more mistakes he does, the more the consequences accumulate, and eventually we get the ultimate the ultimate sacrifice, and he loses basically everything and everyone. And we all talked about these moments where the villains are in Happy's condo, and Happy even calls Peter, which is a really funny moment too.
And people wanted Peter to finally feel lost. Well, fuck you guys. Like that, he finally did.
He lost everything.
He didn't just lose fucking May. He lost everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Boink. Yep, exactly, man. I mean, it's those criticisms, right? It's like, just like with Toby with the web and all, that was like the biggest criticism of Tom's trilogy. Oh, he's not independent. He's always following a mentor. Well, guess what, guys? Not the case here. He's leading.
He's independent now, baby.
And I don't think we mentioned it, how well Strange was used. He wasn't in the movie that much. He really was not in this movie that much. Like, once Peter keeps him in the Grand Canyon, he's gone until the very end.
Yeah.
Which is my one issue with the film. I didn't feel like the film justified enough. Like, I don't believe that Strange would just be trapped for that long. And I don't think the film justified that enough. I think he'd be trapped for a little bit, but he'd come back much faster, much quicker than what he did. When he actually came back.
It does take 12 hours though for his webs to dissolve. We did learn that in Homecoming.
Isn't it 2?
I thought it was
12, I think, because remember that he said I was stuck for 12 hours. I was like, oh, okay, so he was stuck.
Because I thought that's what what he.
Stranger does say that,
but isn't that what he told Aaron Davis though in Homecoming as well?
That's what I'm thinking, because I just rewatched Homecoming.
I thought it was 12. It might be 2, but I thought it was 12.
Same.
I think it's 2, but who knows? But since we talked about the whole interaction with the villains and curing them, which I thought was such nice moments, and there's so many more nice moments that we got to talk about when we bring those other two characters in. But I love how they use the Spidey sense in this film.
Yeah,
and that moment in the condo where Peter doesn't exactly know what is going on, and he has to really focus on it to see who's really trying to pull something here.
And giving credit to Watts, the way he shoots those scenes, man. Like,
yes,
I love when he goes handheld,
the sound fading out, and everything. Like the beginning of the film when he's jumping around with MJ, it's all handheld to represent that chaos, that chaotic nature. Everything's falling apart, and by the end of the film, everything still falls apart, which is heartbreaking. But we finally get the turn from Norman Osborn, which we all knew, like, it. Since it's him who's the main villain, we all knew something's wrong. It's just a matter of time. It's that ticking clock.
It's just like everyone, like when Doc Ock kept saying stuff to him, mean and good Doc Ock, I'm like, stop it. Just leave. Yeah. Stop saying anything. Let's just
Don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear.
it's like Doc Ock was poking him, like when he was like still mean, and then like you kind of see the change happening, and then it's like, oh, you ready to get rid of your darker half? It's like, why did you say that?
Right?
Why did you
exactly?
Say that? Because that just woke him up, and it's like, he poked the
and then when he gets trapped on the dummy, and you see the face starting and the shadows on his face. But again, the cinematography in this film is the best. Visually, it's the best out of these 3 Spider-Man movies. And we get the most brutal, hard-hitting fight scene we've ever had, since the first Goblin and Spider-Man fight in the original Spider-Man.
Yep.
This fight is awesome. It's my favorite action sequence in the film. Not on an emotional level, but just the stunt work here.
Yep.
Going to the rooftop, then Green Goblin is on top, and Spider-Man uses the webs to get on top of it. Everything is awesome. Leo, let's start with you. Your thoughts on the scene, and did you enjoy like how the action itself was shot?
Well, I'm tearing up a little bit thinking about what comes right after this scene, but I mean, seriously. Definitely amazing. I mean, when he jumps on top of Dafoe and's just like nailing him, and he just like slowly transitions into that evil smile. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most evil Goblin we've got on scene yet. Absolutely loved it. I like that there's a power scale too, because like the Green Goblin serum, like, that always enhances strength, stamina, and I'm like, finally they like depict that here. So I like that it kind of felt like a little bit of a super soldier serum type of deal. And I was like, okay, I like this. I like that the Goblin abilities are manifesting themselves in different ways in this universe, like super strength and things like that. Just love the going through the different floors, things like that. I mean, punches landing. It's just like really, really well shot. And I like where it leads into, because you get the very next scene, which is super hard hitting, but you get this like really enjoyable, entertaining battle right before. It's well done. And just the contrast between Peter and Green Goblin is amazing throughout that entire sequence. The script, what he's saying to him, it's amazing, man. I mean, and you know what's weird is some of those lines I was like, did somebody write this on Twitter about Tom being weak and about him being, not having resolve? I'm like, okay, what are we doing here, John Watts? You poking fun at them people that didn't like Tom? Is that what we're doing here? Like, oh, we're gonna give y'all a couple of lines in the movie, that's it. But well done, man. Well done. And I would love to see more Dafoe, but look, man.
Technically still alive
that
now.
arc was ended.
He's technically still alive. They saved them all. I mean, that was the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they'll bring back his Goblin though? I think that's the end for that character.
I mean, if we ever see Toby's world, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Dafoe. But I think it gave a good conclusion to all these characters.
Absolutely.
In a way that was meaningful. And if we do happen to revisit the Raimi verse or Garfield's verse, there's a chance we see some of these characters again, just in a different iteration now, because they're healed. And I think that's the thing I really like. But I mean, that action scene you're bringing up, Ren, it's incredible. Yeah. It also reminded me of the Spider-Man video game, because some of the moves he was doing were exactly from there. Oh, yeah. And I was like, it made me think of that meme of when Defoe's face is looking up, and it's like when Green Goblin sees X and square above his head.
Yes.
Because
that's from Siberia, I think, which I hated.
Is it? Oh, I've never seen it. But Tom Holland, again, his performance is so good, and just like the struggle he has in there.
Yeah, man, it's so good.
Do you guys think Lizard was trying to help him when he was on the outside of the building and he threw him back in?
No.
I don't know, because like he noticed.
Remember, he was in the truck.
He noticed the Daily Bugle, so I'm like, he ran away, and then he like goes to. Like, he wasn't like beating on him. He just kind of like threw him back in.
Tossed him back,
He throws him back in, and Goblin is right in there where he threw him.
That's why I think that was planned, because remember, he like creeped through and he's like, the plan is beginning or something like that. He's like, the plan has begun. I'm like, okay, they must be working together.
And he's a lizard, so he can also smell pheromones. So maybe he was. This sounds weird. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this, but maybe he smelled the Norman Osborn turn.
Maybe so.
There you go.
He knew.
But I don't know, man. That whole scene was fucking awesome.
Let me ask you guys. I got a quick question. Who did you think it was when the spider sense was happening? Who did you think it was? Did you think it was Defoe?
I knew it was
definitely Goblin, because I was kind of like,
it was either Defoe or Electro. It was
exactly
one of them. Yeah,
but I was more leaning towards Defoe since he hadn't turned evil yet. Where like Electro, I was like assuming he was going to.
Mm-hmm.
I was like Zach, unsure between the Goblin or Electro, but as soon as they cut to that shot, because Doc Ock and Goblin are standing one next to the other, but then Defoe just steps out of shot, and I'm like, okay, pay attention to him, and then they don't show him again until Peter actually webs
Which
him.
is so smart,
because
I was
like, it's him.
He's like looking at everyone, and the second Defoe moved out of the way, that's when exactly Spider Sense was like, nope, it's you.
Yeah.
So, I love how they
which I think is precisely that, because Defoe moved, the danger sense also changed from where it was coming from. Amanda, what did you think about this fight scene?
I loved it. I thought the choreo was great. I felt like this. I don't want to say like the first time, but for me, I felt like Tom Holland's like Spider-Man. He knew, like he just how can I put it? I'm losing my train of thought. He trusted his instincts when he was fighting a bit with Goblin, a bit more than he would have he started with Mysterio, but then I feel like he really came into his own fighting Goblin. And the fight scene is just ridiculously
Peter Tingle.
Good. The Peter Tingle is like an advanced Peter Tingle in this one. So he trusted his instincts. I thought the web work was great. And he just really did not hold back, and he's like, this is a bad person, and that's why I love Goblin so much, is that he makes me feel that fear, and like that's why he's one of my favorite villains. Like, he still scares the shit out of me when I watch the first Spider-Man. I'm like, you're incredible. And then he was just even scarier in this, and it made me laugh when, we'll talk about the three of them together, but all three of them knew too that he's like the worst he's the worst one. They all felt that. And then what this leads to, the Goblin Bomb, just everything was perfectly choreographed for this.
Yeah.
And it was so polished, and you heard like everything was connecting, every punch, just like everything that was happening, throwing them like through the floor, like everything.
You know what else
was
connected
felt.
too? You know what else connected really good was the glider to Aunt May's stomach, because that was really
Yes.
fucked up. And
Oh my
connected.
You son of a
Yes,
bitch.
I lost it.
Did anybody else's theater just like collectively like flip out when that
Yeah.
happened? Because man,
Yeah,
When
like,
it
and then
happened,
she
everybody was
gets
freaking
up
out.
Because it's
and
a
everyone's
callback
like,
too.
Yeah, she was.
Yep.
She got
Yeah.
up. I'm like, oh, we're good. We're good.
You know, Toby
Yeah.
Spidey was able to
Full
jump
assault.
up and flip over that thing. Like
Yep.
Aunt May ain't
Yeah.
doing that.
No,
yeah, she's
just
not.
the
her
references were
performance, man,
ridiculous.
was so
Yeah.
fucking good.
Oh
And
my
my
God.
favorite thing about this fight actually is that Spider-Man loses.
Yeah.
He gets topped
Yep.
by Goblin, and little
Yep.
by little the clothes tearing apart and whatnot, and we get the quote unquote classic Gobby costume.
I'm trying to.
As soon enough,
Good.
they drop down to the lobby as May is still there, and Aunt May, from the goodness of her heart, she was trying to teach Peter this whole time, throughout this whole film, and she's not leaving him behind. She's not going away without him, because yes, he's Spider-Man, but he's her nephew first and foremost. And we get one of the greatest sacrifices in comic book movie history.
Perfection.
The glider comes in, Peter avoids the bomb, and we get the line. They built up to it, and they
Wow.
deliver
It was-
that emotional punch.
Amazing.
Yeah,
bro.
it was
Perfect.
perfection.
Perfect.
That was
And
my
it
one.
ties
So
back
good.
in to everything. Like we'll talk about when Toby and Andrew come in, but when they talk about who died in their lives and when
Yeah.
they heard
Yeah.
with great
Yeah.
power
Oh.
comes with great responsibility.
Yeah.
This
I-
exact moment is what it all meant, because
Mhm.
it's the same thing. It all correlates. We didn't need an Uncle Ben in this world. Aunt May was fine. Everyone kept complaining Marissa Tomei doesn't get enough in this role.
Yeah.
That exact scene is what everything is built up to. How much
Yep.
we love Aunt May. I saw someone do a fan edit of her on TikTok, and I started fucking crying again. I'm like, God damn, she's so good in the role. And
So good, dude.
I know.
he doesn't
She's
have her now.
fantastic.
Like it's like
He doesn't have anyone.
Is this
No,
the first
it doesn't.
time like a major Spidey villain directly kills like somebody important to him? I think it is.
In the movies?
Yeah.
Like directly, like
Goblin
because you
Bomb
just say
killed,
Amazing Spider-Man 2
Dane
kind
DeHaan
of.
technically killed.
That
But I
was-
mean, that's
Oh,
also
yeah.
Andrew's
That's
fault.
also
It's kind of
Andrew's
like
fault.
they got in that
Gwen Stacy.
skirmish and
Not
Not
Gwen
that I
or,
want
like
to say it's
attached
Andrew's
him,
fault,
and
but
that was kind of partly Spidey's fault, partly her fault for going
Oh.
along. Like
Yeah.
I mean,
It was her.
but like a
The worst.
direct like blow.
Yeah, I
This
think
might
so.
be the first time.
Might be
I
right.
have a question though. In the comics, because I haven't read that much, doesn't Goblin kill Aunt May in the comics, or am I wrong?
And one of
Goblin,
them.
One
Doc
of them-
Ock,
Yeah,
a
right?
ton of people
Yeah.
have killed Aunt
He
May.
does
I mean-
throw Gwen
Okay.
Stacy off of the glider, and that's when
Okay.
Spider-Man catches her with the web. And that was like a whole
Right.
like, oh, did he kill her first, or did Spidey kill? Like that was a whole
Mhm.
debate
Right.
for a while.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
the thing. Like, I mean, because when we watch Amazing Spider-Man, I think after
Kinda
that
know.
Garfield plays in the back of his head, what could I have done to save her?
Yeah.
And I think instead of trusting himself to catch her, he thought myself, like Spiderweb can't do it. And I think that's where it really kills him, is because technically Spider-Man killed her. You know, where
Yeah.
if he would have just
Yeah.
gone and helped her as like Peter Parker, she probably would have lived.
Which is why it's so good. He does it without the mask.
Yeah.
When MJ jumps off, catches.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is
Yeah.
We'll get
unreal.
to that. We'll get to that. Amanda, I know you want to get a lot out, so let's start with you on the Aunt May, the line, the lesson, and the sacrifice that eventually happens.
For me, I was always peeved that we did not have an Uncle Ben for Tom Holland. That was just my main thing throughout, because that's what helps him become Spider-Man in his other, in the other two, as we've seen. It's a very powerful moment. Everything shifts for him. Everything's put into perspective. That one line that's said, it's just something that pushes him forward. And I always thought that Uncle Ben was the heart of Spider-Man. And for me, in this case, it was perfectly executed. The entire theater said the line with Aunt May.
Oh,
It was I literally
Great
still
cover.
get goosebumps from that, because for an entire theater be like, it's coming, she's gonna say it. And it was just everything connected. It was like a beautiful moment. Marissa Tomei was excellent. The delivery was great too. Like, even though we know that the line's coming, it was just so powerful in that moment. And like it was just quiet. It was just like, Aunt May, I'm like, I'm gonna talk to you. There's like no score running. You hear nothing. It's just that one moment between May and Peter. And it was just freaking heartbreaking to what comes after. But for me, that changed everything. And we also like watching Homecoming and Far From Home. We didn't know that he was going to get another trilogy after this. We're thinking like it's going to tie it up in a perfect bow for No Way Home. But to have that moment push him forward to become Spider-Man, like it was just perfection for me, and I was bawling. It was a beautiful moment, really well done and well written, and Marissa Tomei, fantastic work in this movie. So yeah, that's how I felt, because I was a big like, why isn't Uncle Ben here? And then like
I fully agree, and I love how they built to it. Even in that moment, there's a little bit of a build. It's not just she says a line. She talks to him like, I love the whole look at me, and she's losing her senses and whatnot. Zach, let's go with you, and then Leo.
So like obviously when we know she's dead, and he's sitting there trying to wake her up. Reminded me of Mufasa and Simba, which fucking killed me.
Yeah,
but
man.
it gets even worse when Happy pulls up and sees it, and then you see Happy's
the sound
face,
fades out,
and it goes back to like, you know, when he found out Tony died, and we're at the funeral, and you see that pain there, and him pretty much, if he wouldn't have pulled up, they probably would have shot at him more. And I mean, he's Spider-Man, he would have not, but like the way that I like Spider-Man, but that one moment of him just saying that, and then like him saying, I'm sorry, and then like them starting to shoot at him and him just having to get out, and Happy yelling run, that was perfect. That was perfection. And all the emotion there. But for me, the scene afterwards that comes from that brilliant fucking poster that they put out of him sitting in front of J. Jonah Jameson's whole entire thing of what happened. That is one of the best shot scenes. I would argue that's probably the best shot scene in this entire film.
I know, right there.
Yeah,
like it's perfect. So,
Leo.
So, as this being one of two quotes I want to get tattooed on myself, the other being Go Beyond Plus Ultra, I absolutely was so like taken aback when she just pointed at Peter and she was like, you have power. I was like, it's coming, baby, it's coming. And every time I hear it, I get a shock wave that goes through my body.
I'm getting chills right now.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
What that means to Spider-Man as a hero is so much. And I think what you guys are saying is correct. Look, we don't need Uncle Ben in this case, because this is his connection to an older figure here, and the way she delivers it. And Marissa Tomei, y'all, she tricked me. I thought when she got up, got the bag, I'm like, yes, May, let's go. We're getting out of here. Yeah. Then when she just starts buckling and that body just starts to fail her, I'm like, oh my God. Like I just felt myself slowly crumble more and more the more she like hit the ground. And Tom's delivery during that scene, like I kind of compared it to when Toby lost Uncle Ben, and I was like, I like that he didn't have to make this, crazy facial expression. Nothing against Toby, but he didn't have to go all that far in order to convey how hurt he was and how powerful that hit him. And the fact that he had to like run away from the scene was like heartbreaking. Like I'm like, oh my God, like the fact that he has to leave.
He couldn't stay with her.
That he couldn't stay with her and like, really react to that moment. He had to dip out like almost 10 seconds later. I'm like, this is unreal. And the scene in front of the billboard, one of the best in all Spider-Man movies. Incredible, because there weren't really a lot of consequences for Tom Spider-Man up until that point when he's just looking straight at the consequence of things that happened due to what he did.
Boy, did they compensate for that.
In the biggest way.
This puts him through, and I love that it's all his doing. This whole thing happens, it's because of him. And the way he grows through this emotional wreck is absolutely impressive to me. All right, guys. After so much crying in this moment, then comes the smiles. Because we go to MJ, we go to Ned, and they're all suffering because they also just saw Aunt May died. Peter has no one. We can't be
Yeah.
with him. He's not answering. He's not calling because that was the plan. He would eventually call. And Ned randomly opens the portal because he has magic powers, which is really cool, I think. And there's a Spider-Man right there on the far background, and it chills again. And the entire theater, both my first and second times, everyone was like, oh.
Yeah.
And everyone immediately knew that's not Tom, but who is it?
Mhm.
And then the closer he comes and takes the mask off, and it's like I was in a wrestling event, and as soon
The
as
theater
certain
just got
music
louder
hits,
and louder.
everyone,
Yeah.
and everyone claps, and the whole interaction with the bread, and the going up against the wall, and the getting the cobweb from the corner, beautiful, beautiful moments. And I talked with Zach about this. I talked to Amanda about this. I didn't talk with you, Leo, so I'm going to throw it over to you right up next. And not only does this apply to the introduction scene, and he's all geeking out, string theory, multiverse, it's all real. But Andrew Garfield's happiness and the second chance that he got, it's a great theme in the film, but beyond that, I thought it was just really nice, really wholesome on a real life sense to see him get another shot at this.
Mhm.
Leo, what was this moment like for you? And see the moment he takes off the mask, why'd you do that? When she throws the bread.
Oh man. So I had just finished, like, it was a couple of days ago. I had just finished The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Hadn't seen it in forever. So I recognized the mask. Like when he turns around and they're like, Peter, I'm like, that's Andrew, baby. That's Andrew. And as soon as he like steps through in the suit, I'm going nuts, man. Like me, the theater, we're all going crazy.
Yeah.
And then when he even pulls off the mask, it's like, oh my God, that's confirmation right there that we got him back. And I like that they start with Andrew, because if you would have started with Toby, it would have been kind of ramping down. So I like that it was starting with Andrew to ramp things up to get to Toby. What I really love about Andrew in this movie is he's having so much fun. And you can tell, like, he is having the time of his life being Spider-Man again. And it does make me want to see Amazing Spider-Man 3. Like, I was like, man, he's having the time of his life.
This is the Amazing Spider-Man 3.
I mean, this is it. This is our Amazing Spider-Man 3. It's our Spider-Man Raimi 4. Like, this is where it all led up to. But, I mean, it was a treat. It really was a treat for the fans. It was a treat for Andrew. And I think the fact that we as the audience and him himself got to both equally really enjoy that moment and being on that high, and really that moment just hitting us like a shockwave. There's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. So I almost wanted to say I can't wait to see more Garfield, but I'm glad that he got this.
Some repeated viewings of this film. That's
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised. He's trending.
Look, I think they'll pop up in Spider-Verse for sure, to be honest.
There's a rumor out there that we could see more of him. Let's not say it on the air because it might be a leaked information that I don't want to throw out there. I'm not JC. If you know who that is, the person who leaked the pictures, that's not who I am. Amanda, this moment, Garfield steps in.
Yeah, the same thing happened in my theater. We saw from the mask, we knew the eyes, and like, I love that he was far away in that shot, because like moving forward, we're like, everyone like in my row, we just like lean forward as if the screen wasn't big enough.
It's like a roller coaster. Like,
it's like we all move forward. We're like, is it him? But it was perfect timing too, because like I was laughing out of like, this is the best thing ever. But I was also crying from like the previous scene, and then crying that I actually saw him. So it was like such a mixture of emotions. But with Andrew is that he didn't get that third one, as we've all been saying, and it still stings because he has so much potential for his Spidey. So in this one, it was like he put the suit back on, and it was magic. Complete magic. You felt like his happiness through his entire body, and it was just a beautiful thing to see. And with me, just like, it was fun, it was playful, and I loved it. I thought it was just a beautiful moment. And like you said, like if it was Toby first and then Andrew, like you would have lost that feeling too. But Andrew's just perfection. He's just so good. And like he hit the emotional moments. You could also tell that his Peter Parker, there's still growth, even though it went back to that specific moment after like Gwen, like a couple of years or like months after Gwen, like that they said. But there's still growth there, even though we brought him back from that specific universe. So I love that too. Even with Toby, which we'll get into, like there's still growth.
Yeah.
And there's change, which we could see, which was important for their characters. It wasn't like they were static in what they were. So, yeah, it was a great moment. Cried, laughed, roller coaster ride, as per usual.
You kind of had this age hierarchy
Absolutely.
going on with like Toby being the oldest and
Yeah.
Andrew being the middle child and Peter
Yeah.
being the youngest.
Yes.
It's like each of them kind of fed down to each other. Like Toby
Yeah.
could feed down to Andrew, the
Yeah.
portion
Andrew
about
fed
NJ, Andrew could feed down to Tom. Like it was really well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zach, you're the only one left.
Man, I fucking shit my pants of excitement in every version. Even the press screening, man. Most time critics are pretty quiet, but they got fucking hyped at that.
Yeah.
Because, okay, so it sucks because I remember Jacob posted a story of him reading the script and him and his face was with the, and that's the scene. That's the scene that it was for. And I remember sitting there and I'm like, all right, if they're in the movie, they're going to show up now. Like, if they're in this movie, this is they got to show up any point now. So once I see him go, I just want to see Peter. And the portal starts to open. I'm like, I got up in my seat. I said, if fucking Spider-Ham crawls through, I'm done. But I mean, don't get me wrong. If John Mulaney's Spider-Ham came through, it would have been cool too. But not as cool as this because when the portal opened, the second I see the face turn, and I see one side of the goggle, I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's Garfield. And I'm like, oh my God. Because, you know, growing up, when I was a kid, I had Toby. When I was a teen, I was Andrew Garfield. And now, like, as an adult, I have Tom. But Garfield was
We
like...
keep getting younger, we keep getting older.
I know.
Yep.
Make it stop.
I love Garfield. I love Garfield so fucking much. I love him as an actor, and I just love him as Spider-Man so much. So when every time I've seen it with the crowd, and he's just running towards the portal, and it gets closer and closer, and you know you can tell in the audience that everyone else is realizing it at some point in time.
Yeah.
And the second he jumps through, the reaction is just life-changing. And then when he takes the mask off, because, you know, they could have easily kept the mask on him, just had him do the voice.
Exactly.
Do Amanda Moore.
That's why the eruption only came when he takes the mask off. Because, okay, there's the suit. That's the Andrew Garfield version. But is he actually here?
Yeah.
Or will
when he rips it off, and you're just like... And I tweeted last night, I said, how in the fuck is this movie real? Every time I just sit there and I'm like...
Papa Feige.
Here's the thing, you know, they clearly went and looked at Reddit things and stuff like that, and where like Rise of Skywalker also did the same thing, but one movie did it exceptionally better than the other, and this is what this
was
does.
used more meaningfully in this film than he did in
amen.
But I can't believe that this movie's a thing.
Yeah,
like this is what we have. And again, you mentioned it, like him crawling on the roof and getting the cobweb. And the thing I loved about this, though, dude, both Toby and Garfield, they both still act the way they shot, how they swung around.
Yeah,
that's how like the way that Andrew was swinging around, and the way that he like when he shoots Lizard like this, I'm like, that's exactly how he fucking is when he's swinging around. And you see him, the way that his stances is always from the back first, where everyone else's is from the front. They kept all that intertwined so well, so they do feel like different Spider-Man. Same with Toby. Toby was different as well. You know, of course, yes, he would come in not as the spider suit, but of course in his normal outfit and as the youth pastor. And I thought that was great. And of course, when Toby, I mean, when he does the portal again, we all fucking knew it was Toby at that point.
Yeah, man.
And again, I still had to pinch myself that was even real when he's walking through it. I'm like, oh my God, they did it. Oh my. And I love how Ned's mom reacted better to Toby. Like, oh, oh hi.
Yes.
Or, like, Andrew, she's like
I'm going
flipping
to
out
bed.
on. And I love how Zendaya's like throwing the bread at him, like,
Oh yeah.
and that's again
It-
something that he would say, like, can you stop with the bread? Yes, I have the fever tingle. Yes, I have the tingle.
Such serene, low energy, just
Yeah.
peace and
Mhm.
love right
But
there.
it's truly like they kept these characters, and I think Amanda said it, where it feels like Toby's the one that it's been years since we last seen him, and they kept that. Where Garfield, it does feel like it's maybe only been a month to a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
It
how many
feels-
months?
It
How
feels
many
like a
months
good amount of
passed?
time.
It
For
feels like a
Gwen's
year to
death.
me,
A
year or
year.
two.
It's
Something
it's
like
probably
that.
a year
yeah.
or two, because Gwen's death, we didn't. The ending of that film is what, 6 months or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like something
Something like that.
so that grieving process. So I liked that, but I also love that they've been in this world. They're
Mhm.
like, where are we? And I
Mhm.
like that Toby's the one that's like, I've been looking for your friend. I'm sure Andrew is
Yeah.
probably the same way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he needs us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
are we moving on to the next thing, or are we staying on here a little bit more?
I wanted to touch on the Toby because the interactions, like we talked
Okay.
about, are really cool.
Which I
But-
agree. Like the way that Toby's like, yeah, I don't go around saying it's my what
Oh,
is
yeah,
it?
they-
Yeah,
His-
Jacoby.
His line delivery, like his comedic timing, which I absolutely adore, like in his trilogy, was still
It's
there.
same. Yep.
And
Yes.
it was perfection for me. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
My friend thought he
Mm.
mailed it in a little bit, and I'm like, I can get that, but like
A
it was still
bit,
fun
but-
for what it was. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Toby was always the best actor in the world, but like
Right.
he
Mhm.
acted the exact same that he did in those movies. So
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Quiet,
It was,
reserved.
It's like the
Mhm.
villains. They never left. It's
yeah,
like
I
they
mean, I
came
have so
back
much to
from-
say about
from
this
the
interaction, but Ren, bring it around on the Toby interaction as well, of when he steps through the portal.
Because I was gonna bring up, because I agree with everything you guys said, because it's an amazing moment. But from the moment it starts to die down with our interactions and whatnot, and he gets the cobweb, you just know, okay, they brought in Andrew. Where's Toby? And eventually the portal opens. Normal clothes, almost like the Daredevil thing, where it's so nonchalantly that he steps in, and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I just came in through the. Oh, it's gone. And then throwing webs at each other,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the
That was-
flip.
Oh my god.
Such a cool moment. And Zach, you brought it up. Like, again, not just for fan service. They immediately insert the narrative drive into this. Because, look, yes, I'm here in this world, but I feel like your friend needs your help. And when he looks, that's not your friend. And again, starts to drive the narrative forward. Again, Zach, let's start with you. Toby. After Andrew, Toby comes in, the original Spider-Man, the one we all grew up with.
My first thing was his suit better be under his fucking clothing. That was my first thought. I'm like, if I don't get that Raimi suit, because that's my favorite suit, so
Yeah.
I would have been annoyed. But again, it was perfect. Like, it was just.
Well, that's your second favorite suit when we get to the end of this film.
Tom. That's my favorite Tom Holland one, but it is that one.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, it's still the Raimi one for me because I love the
Gotcha.
webbing. I think the mask is still my favorite from there, just because of how the eyes are.
Yeah.
But God, just so perfect, man. And the next scene after this, when we get to there, I want to lead us into there because like that scene is so underrated. I think when it comes, not before they come in and talk, but like Zendaya and Ned, like if you would have told me beforehand that they come in with Ned, I think I would have kind of rolled my eyes, to be honest.
Mm.
But the way they do it in this scene, the emotion, and I think the big thing a lot of people don't talk about is how Zendaya is very open in here, and it is a different, because she is playing a different character because her character is now opened up to Ned and of course Peter, and she's not as held back and restrained. Like, even as she was in Far From Home, she started opening up a little bit more. But she
Very
mentioned, she goes,
vulnerable,
anytime I get close to people, I have this hard exterior because of this.
Mhm.
And you see that at the end of this movie, she has that hard exterior again. But there's that lingering thing that maybe she does actually know this person. I don't know. I so perfect on how their reactions were. And when they flip over, like when they're shooting the webs at each other, so awesome to see.
Loved it.
Yeah, Amanda, what about you? This moment when Toby steps in. And we get the first interaction between two Spider-Men.
Yes, which is awesome. Toby's my favorite Spider-Man. I know, like, a lot of people they say it's Tom and all that. Like, everyone has their own, but like for me, Toby, just hearing his voice, like seeing him first, obviously I got emotional, but for me, it was always his voice. That I'm like, that's my Spider-Man. For whatever reason, like his voice just gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. But he was adorable. It just made me like, it took me back to when I first watched it and like how much I loved him. Again, the nostalgia hit. Like they did their job with this and it hit. I love the interaction with both of them, Andrew and Toby, perfectly in sync too. Like that was really fun to see. But having Ned and MJ discover this and make those connections and trying to figure out like, holy crap, there's more Peter Parkers, like you're Peter and you're Peter, which we'll get into afterwards with some really cute moments. But it was just really nice to see it. And oh God, just the most emotional thing ever. But Toby for me, like I said, it's just like he walked back out from the Raimi trilogy and it was perfect. It was perfect. I still have to pinch myself. Like Zach said, like I still can't believe this is freaking real and we have it and we can watch it whenever the hell we want now. So it's not a dream.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lagged out.
He lost audio.
I will
think
say,
he
Dave
said.
been having me dying with that money bags.
He's so I mean, yeah.
He came back for the money. So, but yeah, Leo,
Yeah.
do you want to? What was your reaction? How excited were you, man?
Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. Like, it's same with you, Zach. I'm like, is this a dream? Two Spideys pointing at each other, just like, yes, you borrow the meme from the 60s version.
Oh, we got the meme multiple times in here. There's
Yes,
multiple
yes,
times.
And I'm just like, this is perfect. Perfect time to just like, wait, that's not
But it's
your friend.
organically. It's organically
Amazing.
used. Like
Amazingly done.
so
And
well.
I just, it's like you said, Amanda, when you hear Toby's voice, it all
It's
comes
just-
back. Like
yeah.
the feeling of seeing that first Spider-Man and seeing and feeling that
Yeah.
2002 Spider-Man 2, like all that just, it just comes rushing back into you. Now, I will say Toby will sound a little rough, y'all. Like he been,
Yes.
you know, hitting the smokes a bit, but
You did.
he really, I mean, bringing him back was a solid choice. And I knew as soon as we saw Andrew, I'm like, okay, they're not just going to put Andrew in the movie alone. We got to get Toby. But I was a little apprehensive too. I'm like, my man is dressed like a youth pastor. So what we going to do with that outfit? But as soon as he hit that collar pull, I'm like, uh-oh,
Yeah.
we got Toby back for sure. Like
Mhm.
that is his Peter Parker. Also, I really quick, I'm kind of jumping ahead. Wanted to jump to one of your comments, Zach, when it was when Andrew did the webs to both sides for me and pulls himself up. I'm like, that's a characteristic of his
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Mm.
They really all exhibited those traits through that swinging.
They're all
It's-
different. They all
it's so
swing
good.
differently. They all
Yep.
fight differently.
Yeah.
Yep,
And you know,
yep.
I always felt like Andrews was more like acrobatic and stuff.
Yeah.
Where
yeah,
like
for sure.
Tom's more of like, you know, his style was still kind of developing through all the movies, but in a
Mhm.
sense his is math. Like he really does think math and things like that. Like uses his scientific nature. Like in Far From Home, he gets the sign and puts it on like Captain America, and then has the little thing.
Yeah.
And then of course even in Homecoming, and then in seeing how he fights in here, but he also fights like a kid too. He's fun. He's fun
Yeah,
like that.
yep.
It's creative fighting, where Toby is just straight punch. Like he doesn't have like all
Whop,
these
whop.
like yeah, he is like
Just goes
straight.
ham.
I'm gonna fuck you up. You
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
let's do this shit.
He's
So,
that 60s Kerpow like
yeah.
type of style.
And
And,
that- and
Tom
that's
is
what I
very
love that they
fun.
kept
Kind of
it.
gymnastics heavy though. Tom
It keeps them all separate, and I don't know how they did it, and I give them major props for this. When they're all swinging around, I mean, I don't know about you guys, I could tell exactly who is who, and I
Yes.
think
Oh, yeah.
it goes again
Yeah.
because of that. Because
For
of
sure.
even when they're all in the same shot, it's like you can tell, even if it's from a distance, you can tell who's who in the way
You can
that
put
they're
him in the
moving
same
around.
suit and we'd be able to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, true.
so-
All right. So after this, we get my favorite scene of the film, my favorite scene of the year, one of my favorite scenes in any movie of all time, when the Spider-Man first meets, and
Yeah.
not only do we get the reunion, and we get to see that such a strong, beautiful friendship with the trio of MJ, Ned, and Peter,
Mm.
but then you can clearly tell like the Peter tingle, the Spidey sense is striking And even when they want to reach out to him and say they know what he's going through, he's like, don't tell me that, because he's just so hurt. And I didn't even talk about it with you guys. Like, I love like when May dies, Peter is in that stage of denial. He doesn't even understand that she's gone. But then we get these beautiful exchanges about what happened to Andrew after Gwen lost, and Gwen, she's my MJ. And they start to talk about with great power comes great responsibility. And Peter at first being very confused, like, how do you know that? And being a little angry, like that they know something that is so intimate to him like that. But this exact exchange, this exact scene, and even the one that follows in the lab and whatnot, to me, is what gives this movie and all the Easter eggs and all the fan service real value, real emotion, and justifies even their inclusion in this film. And everything about this moment I thought was beautiful, just fantastically done. Leo, what are your thoughts on this scene? When they go to this place of meaning to Peter, and they even talk about, oh, mine was the Chrysler Building, the Empire State, which is a great, like, it's such a good moment for fans, but so intimate on a character level.
Intimate, man. You said it perfectly. This is what we were lacking from Tom's Peter a little bit, because he is a high schooler. He is young. He's still learning. So we got to see a lot of, him learning, going through a couple things. We never seen him really have a loss this huge in his life. And I thought that it was so meaningful to bring in the other Spider-Man who both lost big people in their lives as well. And what I like about this scene is we get to finally see how Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man reacted to the Gwen Stacy death. Because that was one thing about not getting the Amazing Spider-Man 3 is it's kind of just like, boom, it's a bookend. Spider-Man 2 definitely was going to lead into a third one. So it feels like you're kind of left dangling there. I love that we really get him saying, he got bitter. He got vengeful. He stopped pulling punches. And I'm like, wow, when he said that and then turns and he's like, I just don't want you to end up becoming like me. I thought that was such a shockwave. It was,
and he's giving it his all in that moment.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I mean, he's teared up, like he's emotional. As soon as he says, like, I lost someone too, and he starts talking about Gwen and choking up, I'm like, man, you can tell Andrew is in it right now. Like, he is fully in this moment. Toby talking about Uncle Ben, fantastic. When Tom starts the line and he finishes it, like, I'm just like, wow, Ren, this is what we talked about. Remember we talked about the quote being in the movie? I'm like, that's the another perfect spot to put the quote in the movie and have them exchange those lines. But man, guys, when they look up and you see that shot of them on the tower and they're in their Spider-Man poses, the silhouette, I'm like, dude. They jump down and you just kind of see them jump from that wide shot. I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's so good. But I just think the dialogue between the Peter Parkers and them actually opening up to each other. And what I like about it is it starts off with Tom just like, nope, I'm done. Stop. Yeah. And the two of them,
I'm sending you back.
Slowly, he was ready to send them back, right? He was ready to do it. But the two of them slowly breaking it down and just letting him know Aunt May didn't die for nothing. We have had people that we've lost as well, and to guide and help him through that, I think was beautiful. And it wasn't in a way where they kind of like held his hand. It was in a way that they made him realize you got to go through this too.
Yeah, this is how. To me, it was basically like them saying, "This is how you grow up. This is how you actually become Spider-Man." Amanda, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, if you haven't noticed, I've been tearing up this entire time just here listening to all of this. I'm like, I don't want to cry when I talk about it. Beautiful moment. One of my favorite moments. And like you said, like we're sitting there listening to this as fans. And then as characters, like it felt like intrusive for Tom Holland's Peter Parker that they knew how he was feeling. But it's just so impactful because we have that scene with Aunt May and that line being said, and then we don't see him for a bit. We don't see him. And then like, obviously we have like Toby and then Andrew, where it's like a very happy moment for us to see them. And then we bring it back to like the reality of the situation. It's like, he just lost Aunt May. There's these villains like running amok. Like, it's just, they pull you back in. And that's like I think it's like perfect placement to have the three of them there having that conversation and breaking it down and them being there for Tom's Peter, like you said. So it was just beautiful. Like I don't think I've ever cried so much in my life, because being like, as we're fans for like over 2 decades with these characters, it's like we've cried in every single movie when that moment happened. So it's just like a ripple effect. Like it comes in waves. When Andrew talks about it, we're like, okay, we're gonna cry again because we know how this felt. And then with Toby, it's the exact same thing. So just beautifully written. And they felt like, I feel like that conversation was needed to break down that wall and have them actually connect to each other instantly. And it wasn't awkward. It's like, no, this is the marriage between the three of you. This is how you're going to connect to each other and work together. And I think it was just perfection.
Oh, Ren, I think your audio is gone again.
Oh, shoot.
No.
I could use a burrito.
That was the fucking God, dude.
Like,
I adore
the little
him.
quips, man. It's
I'm gonna tell you right
they're
now,
so
that was not
good.
in the script. That was not in the
No,
script. That is just something fucking
You
Defoe
know, Defoe was
said.
like, I can take a burrito.
He was probably like, "Are we still filming? Are we still filming?"
It's like, I need food now. I'm hungry.
Ren's back.
Yay.
I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah, good,
Okay,
good.
Cool. Zach, did we get your thoughts on the meeting?
No,
on the rooftop?
I'll go with this. So I love how Zendaya and Ned hug him at first, and they
Oh.
just all start breaking down. And that the way that they shoot it of them, it kind of looked like a heart, and I was like, again, exquisite, best
Yeah.
shot MCU Spider-Man film yet. But it's when Zendaya's like breaking down, and she goes, "Peter, there's someone here. There's two people here
Yeah.
to see you."
And her voice is breaking. She's almost like whispering
Yeah.
because she's being
Yeah.
so careful about how she talks to
Yeah.
him.
And then, at that very moment, his spider tingle went off, and he looks, and that shadow shot of him, man, so
Look,
beautiful.
again.
They jump down, and at that point, Peter's like, "Oh fuck, I brought you guys here too." Like, like, God damn it, I fucked up.
Need
And,
that on a poster, man.
No, which we didn't even talk.
Because by this point, he trusted all of the other people. So at first, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
there's more people. So he's not willing to trust anyone now.
Well, and we didn't even get to talk about when they casted the spell and like that whole thing, because the second time I watched the film, I'm like, when he starts screaming, he goes, "I just want everyone who knows who Peter Parker is to still remember," and that's when the spell breaks and lets everyone fucking in. That's when the whole thing happened. And first off, that whole line interaction between Doctor Strange and him when he goes, "You didn't think to call and plead your case," like, which again, it's because he's a kid, and I like that. So,
and he's looking for the easy solution.
Yep, which this was not the easy solution, and that's where he messes up. And again, it all goes back to he's trying to live two different lives. One is Peter and one is Spider-Man. This is the whole thing about why Spider-Man is one of the best superheroes, is because he always tries to live both separate ways, but when they connect, issues come about like this. And again, just their banter with one another, them talking and relating, and like I've said, it continues all their character arcs in a really strong way, especially Garfield's. It goes to where he would be next. And I've been saying it. They do a third. If you don't have to do a third Garfield film, but you can do a Miles Morales movie and have him be the mentor. I would rather see that. I don't want to see Tom Holland be the mentor. He doesn't need to be a mentor for Miles Morales right now. Yes, would I love to see Tom mess around with? Yes, but I would rather see an older Spider-Man, like Toby or Andrew, be the ones that take Miles under his wing. And I think it was so touching in the way they handled it. And I love how, Tom hasn't met Gwen Stacy yet. So like when he goes, my MJ, like I'm glad he said that, because it makes sense.
Meet her, though?
Maybe so.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think Gwen's in
I
that
know.
college trilogy.
Don't get in the way. Don't
I
get in
think
the
so.
way. Just give me Zendaya. I think they're going Black Cat. That's my personal opinion.
Ooh.
We already did
I
Gwen
hope
Stacy.
so. I hope so.
We'll see though. I don't know what they're gonna do. They could introduce all these characters. Who says he has to have a love interest with them?
I only ask because when they interact with one another, like the Avengers don't exist in the
Yep,
other worlds,
and that's-
and
yeah, so
and the
things
villains are
change.
like one fought a rhino, but the other never fought a rhino. One fought a
Yeah,
black goo from
which-
space, and the other
yeah.
never fought a black
Yeah.
goo. from
Another one's
space.
about to fight a black goo from space.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is.
yeah.
We'll get. I want to start that one with Manda when we get to it, because she's both happy but also very angry about it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, perfect moment. One of the best scenes in the entire film, and then from there we go to the fucking
The
lab,
lab.
which
Oh my god!
I guess
the
we're
entire
segueing
thing is
over
a lab.
there.
So
That
cute.
whole segment was great because I love, first off, I love when Ned like goes to ask
Yes.
Tobey Maguire, and he goes, "Do you have a best friend?" He goes, "Yeah, out of my arms after he tried to kill me."
I like
It's
that moment,
heartbreaking.
how he like subtly looks at Andrew and he's just like, maybe not.
Yeah,
And then,
and then like
and Andrew's just looking at Ned like he's super worried about Ned. How he's
doesn't
receiving
Garfield
this
say
information.
same to them? Doesn't
No,
he say same?
he doesn't say
No?
anything. He's just like looking at him. Like,
Yep, he
Oh, I
just
thought he
goes-
said something.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
I
was
swore he said
great.
something, and that just added to it because both the same thing happened to either of them. So
Yeah.
So later on, he goes to his Peter and he's like, I promise I won't become a villain
Yeah.
and betray you. And
Yeah.
it's like,
and
he
Andrew
probably
like,
talked to
there you
Andrew.
go.
He's
Yes,
like, good job,
yes.
buddy.
Which,
My Harry
and
did
then-
it too.
Yeah, and I love though when they're in there and he goes Peter and they're like what? And then Peter Parker, what? There's three
so
of us.
great.
Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3. And
I guess I'm
God, we're
Peter
not there
3.
yet. I know we're
And
getting
then,
ahead,
and then,
but I love.
and then the Toby from the car got out. How is this helping?
Yeah, dude, I love though when, like you said it, when Andrew's like Peter 3, like, it's so
Yeah, he's
He's
like, I
just
guess I'm
having
Peter
so much
3.
Great.
I love the interaction on that lab scene of them being like all working together, and then when MJ comes up next to
Being
Tom,
nerds.
Yeah.
being
Yes.
nerds, and then when Garfield's watching that, he goes, "Oh, that's just not in the cards yet." And Toby passes down that advice.
Which,
He goes,
by the
"No."
way, that moment,
Yeah.
that moment when she goes to check on Tom is such a beautiful moment.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love
Yeah.
that so much, and
Mhm.
their chemistry on screen is so good, so
Yeah.
good.
Good, man.
so
It's
good. So, but and then when Garfield again, it just grows Garfield's character more, saying maybe
Yeah.
there is someone out there for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Great
Perfect.
advice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Perfect.
That was such a great
I don't know.
moment.
Did I miss anything else in that lab scene that you guys wanted to talk
No,
about?
Well-
I was just gonna bring up that which you just brought up of maybe it's not in the cards for guys like us.
Yeah.
And Toby gives him a little bit of hope, a light at the end of the tunnel that he
Beautiful.
could look for.
Did you
So-
guys? Speaking more on their interactions, I wanted to hear more about what was going on in their world. Like they kept telling us stuff that we'd already known, and I was sitting there. I was like, "All right, so do you and MJ have kids yet? Like, have you fought anyone else?" Like, I would have
Yeah.
fucking loved if they mentioned the Vulture in Tobey Maguire's world because that
Oh,
was supposed to be
man.
Spider-Man 4. I
Yeah.
think that would have been cool, or Mysterio, or something of that nature. I think that would have been
Yeah.
unique to see. Or like Garfield's like, yeah, I had to fight 6 of them, all at
Oh,
once. So I've done this
dude.
before.
Yeah.
But again, I get why they didn't too, because
Mhm.
Yeah, it would
It
take the
wouldn't have
shine away
played-
from Tom.
Yeah.
it would
Could
have taken
take
away
the shine away from
Mhm.
Tom.
maybe, but also when they're all talking with what they fought, and he goes, "Oh, I just fought a man in a rhino suit, like a Russian monster in a rhino suit."
I'm
Yeah,
lame.
He goes, "I'm lame."
Yeah.
And then Toby
You're
does it so
amazing.
perfect.
You're amazing.
You're
So
amazing.
good.
amazing.
I
Oh
want
my
you
God.
to say that you're amazing. Say that you're
Yeah.
amazing.
So good. And that
I
they
needed to
told
hear that,
Tom or Andrew that was like so beautiful. Like he
Yeah.
needed that, you could tell. And I think
'Cause-
the interaction in the lab, I kind of liked being left in the dark a little bit. I'm like, ooh, it kind of lets
Yes.
you have your own interpretation of where they went.
Mhm.
And I love that Toby's the one to directly pass it down. Cause y'all, I was about to cuss if we got the 3 Toby movies and he didn't end up with NJ. I was about to be like, okay,
Yeah.
Could you
we went
imagine?
through 3 movies and y'all ain't together. But for him to just be like, we made it work.
Thank
Made it
God.
work eventually. And since we're talking about when they're already at the Statue of Liberty, because they start talking about organic web shooters, baby, and that's why Toby is the only one with the actual powers of a spider, because he can make webs.
Amazing.
Well, and it was great in the lab too at the end when he goes, "Oh, what is that? Oh, it's my web fluid."
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're
Just
like,
so
"What?"
subtle.
Shoots it.
So
Yes.
subtle but effective.
And I love that Tom, of course, the youngest one out of all of them, is the one that goes, well, does it come out of anywhere else? Because that, of course, that's the question.
We've all had that conversation. We're like, wait a minute.
Exactly. And I love how Toby is so awkward about it, but then logically Tommy's like, no, we just can't do it. So naturally, we're very interested.
Yeah.
It's such a
Yeah.
So then the big battle begins. Does anyone want to bring up anything in particular, like about the big battle? Because I like the thing about curing the villains. I like the let's kick some ass. No, let's cure
Yeah.
some ass.
Cure some
Cure
ass.
their ass.
Let's cure dad ass.
Cure-
like,
Cure
cure
that.
that.
And of course, it'd be Toby to say, like,
Let's cure
Yeah.
that
Yes.
ass.
yeah.
if we're
It's
talking
okay,
about
Dad.
specific moments, I mean, there's 3 in particular. One is when they're all on top of the head of, and they're all lined up, and they all come in one at one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that I want that shot's beautiful.
You mean
but,
this moment?
Yes.
Oh,
so
so
good, dude.
perfect.
Sorry about the bad quality. That's not my responsibility.
Perfection.
I knew when we saw that in the trailer too. I'm like, it's too
Oh yeah.
Yep.
white
Yeah.
noise.
100%.
And I was right. I fucking Lizard got punched in the face. I wasn't
Right,
anyone
right.
else.
That was
Kick.
Toby.
He
Punch a
flipped.
lizard.
No, Toby was going towards Electro. Andrew was giving Lizard the kick because he flips forward. He does a front flip.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought that was
Yeah.
Toby.
We just got to keep watching it to make sure.
Guys, I just gave you an excuse to go back and watch the film. I'm sorry.
There we go.
Thank you,
But
Ren.
other than that, also, I love when they are like finally like when they come together and they're like, all right, we need to work as a team. They talk about the whole Avengers thing and all stuff like that. Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Are you in a band?
Is that a
And of course, that's Garfield that says it. And then he goes, I love you guys. I love. And
I
they're like,
bet you that's
It
not in the
was
script.
So cute.
oh,
Yeah.
probably not.
I bet
Probably
you that's
not.
improv.
It kind of stings that they were both like, "Thank you," and not like, "I love you too." It just,
But then
Because
I
it's so
love-
awkward. It works.
yeah.
Again, like just as when Garfield was running towards the thing, it's a roller coaster ride when they're all running on the scaffolding. They all
Yes.
jump off and they're
Mm.
swinging. And I love when Tom, like when they're falling and Tom pulls them back up. And
Yep.
Yeah.
fuck me, man. Like they can fuck me in the face. Like that's how I felt watching this movie. Like I just like this is like a nerdgasm 24/7 watching
Yeah.
this film. And it's
Yeah.
not, it's so organically put in. Like my biggest worry was that it was just gonna be Easter egg and nostalgic
Exactly.
stuff to
Yeah.
just be nostalgic. But the way they handled it all, the way they brought it together, it worked. I never wanted it to end. And that's the best thing about a movie, is when you just don't want it to end. I didn't think anything would beat Dune as my number 1 of this year. I really didn't. I knew Spider-Man would probably have the chance of maybe being my 10, 9, or 8 for my top 10 of the year. Maybe an honorable mention. I didn't think anything would beat Suicide Squad for me. I saw the movie fucking 9 times in theaters. I'm
Ooh-wee.
planning on seeing this more than that. Like, this is everything I wanted it to be and more.
Are you on the AMC A list?
Hell no.
My man can sign up for the A list and get
My,
some AMC photos for
my
free.
AMC sucks, man. My AMC
Aw.
sucks.
Oh man, you got that Regal pass?
Nah, we have one Regal out here, and that one sucks too. We have this thing
No.
called Harkins out here. It's beautiful.
Oh, I got
But we
one
don't
of
have-
them.
Yeah, but we don't have like. So I have an AMC. I actually saw this movie twice in AMC because I
Yeah.
like the Dolby, but the
Mhm.
theater is garbage compared to
Oh,
that. Like
no.
besides that screen, there's one point last night the audio cut out right before the movie was about to start, and my friend out loud, as it's pure quiet, goes, "You better fucking not." And everyone busted out laughing because it's true. Like everyone was thinking the exact same thing. Like you do not mess up on opening night, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like I don't know
With
if you
that
guys saw
awesome-
that West Side Story. They played West Side Story at an AMC instead of that.
for like half an hour or
No.
something. I'm like,
Yeah.
I would have got up
Oh.
and left.
I
West
hope
Side
they got like
Oh, wow.
courtesy passes or something.
That's
to
a
get
horrible
passes
one
for
to
that,
start
like-
in No Way Home. Come on now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't start a musical up.
So
All right, before we go into the Gabi, the return of the Green Goblin into proceedings, I want to talk about two moments of curing. I love when Doc Ock returns and he grabs the Spider-Man, but he ends up curing Electro. That moment when Andrew Garfield steps to Electro and he's like, Max, and goes to check on him, and we get a reference to Miles Morales, indirectly, because they don't know who Miles Morales is. I heard Manda gasping. I'm going to start with you, Manda.
That I just love that interaction first and foremost. I thought that was an important one for Andrew, more important than like with Lizard, I guess, just because
Yeah.
he had I don't know. I just felt like it was more important in like Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, with Max and his storyline and like feeling like a nobody. I thought that it was important to put that in. But that little reference, my theater again was like, holy shit, he said the thing. It's like, okay, but we know, they don't know, but we know.
Exactly.
And
Every
like,
time there was one person in my theater that yelled Miles, like
yeah.
every single time. Every time there's one guy that said it. And I love it.
But yeah, I'm excited to see that. I really do think it's about damn time that we get a live action Miles Morales, just because it's such a different storyline. Like we have Into the Spider-Verse, of course, but like it's just really important that he comes in for live action and just get everything, put everyone in there. Spider-Gwen, whoever
Again,
wants to come
yes,
next, just
yes,
like
Want a
let's do
Spider-Man
it.
in your Sony universe? Just
Just do
fucking
it.
do Miles.
Yeah.
Just do Miles,
Well,
man. Like
I got to
Papa
take on
Feige
that.
don't want it.
Ooh.
Papa Feige don't want it. Go ahead, Leo. I saw that smile
I
on
mean,
your
if
face.
Feige wants
Talk
to
me,
use
brother.
Miles, fuck yeah, take him. I don't
No,
care.
no. He just doesn't want 2 live-action Spider-Man, which I think it's smart because it doesn't dilute the character. I could take either way. I could take a live-action Miles and an animated Peter Parker, but I do feel like it's important to not
Fuck it.
overexpose
They should just use
either character.
Spider-Ham
Yeah.
for the live-action Sony universe.
Could
That's
you
all they
imagine?
should use.
A secret sequel to Babe Pig in the City, but it's a Spider-Ham movie.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Babe got bit by an interactive human, and now he's a spider pig.
Exactly.
Shit,
Leo,
dude, Nicolas
awesome.
Cage. He's having a resurgence.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
hey,
take that.
I'd be down. Yeah, like my theater freaked out when he was like, "There's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere." Man, my theater lost it.
Yeah.
Like we were
And
all
you
like,
too.
"Yeah, Miles!" And just to the no live action thing. I'm gonna be real, guys. I think that the Spider-Verse is gonna eventually, them characters are gonna cross over into live action.
I think so too.
I think we'll get a
so-
scene. I think we'll get a scene.
I
of
mean,
them,
whether
like,
it's-
whoever the characters are, and suddenly live action,
Which,
and then
Like
they go.
I
holy
could
shit.
totally see Toby,
Oscar
Andrew,
Isaac
and
is
and Tom
2099.
showing up in the Spider-Verse, and then the Spider-Verse showing up in reality. Even if it's just like Miles sticking his hand through a portal and like you see a hand coming out, that's something. I mean, I think those Spider-Verse movies. I mean, come on, we got to be having that Miles come into the live action. Like I guess technically they're different universes, so yes, you can have a different Miles. But I just. We love that Miles, and we got so attached to that Miles. Bring him into the live action.
Yeah.
And Shamik Moore, yeah, he's older, a little too old to be a young Miles, but look at Across the Spider-Verse. He definitely has aged. So
Mhm.
Why not?
eventually he could be
Maybe.
Miles Morales in live action.
What Lady Aaron said is true. Emma Stone and Kirsten Dunst were asked
We're
to come
supposed
back,
to.
but they
Kirsten
couldn't.
Dunst was supposed to be in it, but she couldn't because of COVID. Emma was
Yeah.
asked about it, but because she was pregnant, they never actually wrote it.
Yeah.
Wrote her scene.
Wouldn't it
into the
have been
script.
awesome if
They
Andrew
pitched
went
it
back
to
to a
everyone
universe
beforehand.
with her and Gwen was
I
like there?
predicted that they
Yeah.
were going to do a
Leo, to be
Black
honest,
Widow in What If kind of thing,
Yeah.
where they throw
I
him into
think
a
that
universe where
was-
Peter Parker died and Gwen is alive and she's
So-
Spider-Gwen.
But
And
can
we
I
just
be
saw
honest?
Spider-Gwen swinging.
Oh my god.
I think the way they handled it was better for his
Oh,
character.
for sure.
I think so,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so.
I agree. Another interaction I want to talk about when the villain is cured, because if any of the villains was done dirty a little bit in this film, it was maybe Lizard, because even Flint Marko has this cool moment where
You mean the dinosaur?
Elfman score comes in, the dinosaur, yeah.
Oh, that Elfman.
even-
Ooh,
yeah.
when he takes off the mask and the Elfman
yeah.
score. Oh my god.
It's gonna be okay, Flint. And then Doc Ock comes in and he sees Toby and he's like, Otto! And
Yes.
we got the Peter, my dear boy, which is awesome. But when he says you're all grown up, and you just hear the pride in his inflection, how he's happy to see Peter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just completely broke me in a good way. I love that moment. Anyone wanna say something about that?
No,
That-
it's
Well, I
perfect.
love that because he was like Peter's mentor
Yeah.
until he became Doc Ock. So I was like, wow, like just to get that circle back moment of your mentor looking you in the eye and be like, wow, you've grown up.
Which I also love, because in the original Spider-Man 2, when he turns back to the good side, is because he had that relationship with that Peter Parker before
Yep.
it. So that Peter Parker was not here for the entire film while he was still under the control of the tentacles. So of course he doesn't turn back into good without seeing that Peter, without that Peter being the voice of reason for him, which I thought was such a strong driving force.
Yep.
But then Gabi comes in, Doctor Strange comes in, he has the box, bomb in the box, and the multiverse opens, starts to break apart, and we get everything literally falling apart, the scaffolding, MJ falls. We all called it. We all said, that's going to be Andrew Garfield. But not only that, again, that's why we don't get paid the big bucks, but Papa Feige does.
I still get goosebumps from it.
It's not just that Holland doesn't catch her. Gabi comes in, he intercedes, and there's this quick shot of Andrew Garfield who's like, no, I'm not going to let this happen. He goes in, he saves her, and we see how that emotionally affects him. Not only, cool, he saved MJ, MJ is not dead, but how important this is to him. Zach, let's start with you on the moment that we all predicted, but it's still so satisfying to see.
It's so fucking heartbreaking. Like, we knew it, but I didn't know how it was going to be caught, you know, because when he's falling...
And we didn't predict that moment, because, again, we just want the moment.
And you see the Goblin glider just grab him, and you're just like, because you still don't know. What if he fucks up again? You know, like
because they fooled me personally. Because before the glider comes in is when we have the shot of the hand, and so I was like, oh, turns out that is Tom's hand. And then the glider comes in, so I'm like, oh shit, they're actually gonna kill her.
I know.
But then Andrew jumped, and he learned, don't use my web, use my body to grab, so I don't snap her fucking back. Spine and kill her. Jesus Christ.
The crack sound effect during that scene is
oh my god.
That's one effective part of that moment.
So effective.
Amanda, what about you?
So good.
I jumped out of my seat. I said he's gonna do it. And we all predicted it. Like we knew it was coming, but holy shit, did it hit. It hit. Like I was crying, and then seeing Andrew cry. I think seeing Andrew cry is more heartbreaking than seeing Toby or Tom cry for some strange reason. Like Andrew just makes you feel that shit. And again, beautiful moment. It was very like poetic for him to catch her, and everything's fine. And knowing that he can save. He could have saved her. And I think that kind of like mended his heart a bit, that like it was, you know, passing it forward to like somebody else's like true love in this case, to like his version of MJ. So I thought that it was really, really impactful. And again, I teared up while we were talking about it because, you know, I'm just a mess with these things. So yeah, it was great. It was great.
We all are. I'm right there with you. Leo, talk to me.
Oh man, remember we talked about this.
We did.
Like, no, I really want Tom to be the one to save her. That's his love interest.
Yeah.
But when Garfield came in, still thinking about Gwen, I was like, okay, that's his moment then. Because he came in with the grief, with the sorrow still. And I think that was such a great redeeming moment for his character. But it was going back to what you were saying earlier. He couldn't save Gwen as Spider-Man, but he could save MJ as Peter Parker. And I thought that was so cool that instead of, the web, he launches his body down. He learned from that moment, and he was able to achieve and accomplish something that broke him as a character. And I just think, I mean, Andrew, in my opinion, at least, is the best actor of the three. So he definitely really conveys those emotions beautifully in that small moment right after he catches her, still crying, looks at her, has her in his arms, and he accomplished what he couldn't in his own universe. I thought that was so well executed. Thank God he didn't shoot the web in his universe, and that's when the portal opened, right? Because, oh man, that would have been bad for Gwen Stacy.
Yeah. It's so perfect, man. It's so perfect. And I love how, because it never takes away from Tom's. Because Tom didn't have a he got taken away. So, and I think that was a lot of people's worry, was that if he didn't catch her, it would have taken away from Tom saving her. But no, Tom went for her. But
I think the Goblin gliding in to help that moment as well, because Tom was right there.
It's not just that he missed. Someone got in the way and stopped.
Which I want to say this. I know a lot of people freak out about reshoots and stuff like this, and it worries them. One of the big reshoots I don't think we talked about was the little line at the beginning before Doctor Strange agreed to do the spell. Wong didn't say, "Don't cast that spell." He didn't say it like he does in the trailer.
Yeah.
He says, keep me out of this then.
And Doctor Strange doesn't wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that
Yeah.
was the whole thing. I was like, and I'm like that. The second that scene happened, I'm like, they listened to us on the fan base on that. 'Cause
Yeah.
It felt weird. So okay.
In the film, it actually, we didn't talk about it, but to me, it never felt weird in the actual film.
No.
Um,
No. My friend
At
still
all.
sat there and he kept whispering. He goes, "Dude, it's so Mephisto. It's so Mephisto." And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Just keep watching the movie. Just keep." He goes, "No,
It
just
is
fucking
not.
tell me it's Mephisto, isn't it?" And I'm like,
Might
Yeah.
be.
"It's not Mephisto. Just shut
No.
the fuck up."
Well,
It's a Spider-Man movie.
He like didn't believe me till the very end of the movie. He like kept telling me. He goes, "You're lying. It's Mephisto."
I still think
God.
it could be Mephisto.
Stop. It's not.
That other
Swear to
Doctor Strange
God.
that we see at the very end, that one's gonna become Mephisto.
No, I don't want
But
it.
we got the Gobby fight, which again, very brutal fight. I do wish. I mean, you can tell it's Willem Dafoe doing the thing because they cut around it very much. Like
Yeah.
to me, it is not the best shot action sequence. So that is my one nitpick. But in terms of the sound design of that, you feel every hit, and you
Mhm.
see that darkness, that rage seeping in and taking over Peter. And I also talked with Leo about this. I've been talking to a ton of people in private messages throughout this week because we can stop geeking out about this film, and Toby stops him from doing the thing he'd probably most regret. And the film just stops there and doesn't do it too fast, doesn't do it too slow. It just does
Sit
it
on it.
enough.
Yeah.
Zach, your thoughts on Toby not saving Goblin, but saving Tom Spider-Man,
My whole
really.
thought in there is Guyby still has a knife out. Like, does no one recognize that? I'm just sitting there waiting for him to stab him, which he fucking ended up doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, my whole theater thought he fucking died.
Same.
And I did too for a
Same.
second.
Same.
I
I'm like,
said,
yeah.
I wonder if they
Yeah.
changed that. That's another thing I'm wondering if they changed too. Like they're like, okay, maybe we don't kill him, type of
Right.
thing. Like maybe we do want to bring him
Yeah.
back. But no, that whole moment of him stopping and just Peter's realization of what he's doing. Like this isn't him, and in true fashion, it really isn't. That's not who Peter Parker is to not pull his punches, So, I love that moment, and I love how once he drops the glider, and Gobby does stab Toby, and just Spidey sense grabs the thing and just fucking jabs it in him, and just the realization on Defoe's face, and Defoe plays it so key is when it switches back, he's just like, "What did I do?" Like it is so beautifully told. I fucking love it, love it, love it, love it.
Amanda, your thoughts on this final fight?
It was perfect. Like literally just I feel like Tom put everything into that fight too. Like again, like you feel with all three of the Spider-Men, you feel like their connection to this character and how much it means to them and how much they want to do it justice. And I felt that with Tom in that particular moment when he was fighting Gobby. Again, the sound design, like you said, fantastic. I genuinely thought that Toby was gonna die, and that made me cry while I was like watching that whole thing. I'm like, don't make him die. Don't do that. Why would you do that? But the best part for me was the Toby and Tom connection, them looking at each other in the eye.
Yeah.
Nothing was said.
Exactly.
It needed to be.
Right, exactly. So like everything was just felt in that moment. And it didn't go over like overly. It wasn't like that too long either, but it was just perfection. It's like, listen, you can get through this. You don't need to do this. This is why like I'm here to like stop this. And he saves him as we said. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful moment, and it was executed perfectly. It was just so strong.
Yeah. Leo?
Yeah, you said it perfectly, Mando. There was no dialogue needed. I mean, just the stare, the glance, remembering what he said coming in, that the villain dying doesn't necessarily solve the problem.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great choice for him to save Tom. And just that look right in the eye, man. Like you knew right there. He's like, you know what you're doing. Don't do this.
Yeah.
When he's like gently setting it down, he knew that's all he needed was Toby to come in and just give him that look. Like, look, boy, you know what you're doing, bro. Don't do this. Don't do it. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I fully agree, and it's cool that they all work together for this final blow with a nice throw, nice catch, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Ooh,
then
that
we
hug.
get but the hug comes after like the big decision because like we start seeing the multiverse, we see the real Rhino, not a guy in a mechanized suit, the real Rhino,
We
a
see
Scorpion,
Kraven,
Kraven the Hunter,
Scorpion.
with the spear and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's Tom finally doing the adult thing, finally growing up and say, look, I fucked up. There's no other possible way out of this. It's best for everyone if they just forget me. And there's even this sweet moment between Doctor Strange, is like, everyone that loves you, we will forget about it. And the fact that he includes himself in that group of people, it's really sweet, I think. And we get the goodbye to his friends and whatnot. And again, obviously they're dating in real life, and it's a beautiful thing. And if they break up, I think love is dead. But the goodbye to MJ and the vulnerability that we've never seen in this character, right here, right now.
Dude, when she says
man.
she loved him, oh my fucking god!
And he pauses
then-
for a moment. He's like, "Oh shit, she loves me." Which
Yeah.
is
And
a
then he
very
goes to
guy
say it
thing
back,
to do.
and then he
They're
goes back
so
to say
cute.
it,
Yes.
and she goes, "Don't tell me. Tell me when you find me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me when you find me.
And then even Ned's
Amanda.
goodbye too. Man.
Yeah. Amanda, what
That
do you
broke
think
me.
of this goodbye?
I think it is beautiful. Like we said, that it was beautiful and very vulnerable and intimate. I think they did it perfectly. But for me, I don't know what it was. They were crying a bit too hard, and I feel like
Okay.
no, but like I'm saying, like this could be the last time we could see them. Not that I want to say that, but in other like shows or in other like sequels like that, normally for me, when I notice that they're crying like too much, like it's overly, that's more of like it's the actors that are crying through that scene, saying like maybe this is the last time that we're gonna like work together. I don't know, they could come back, I'm not saying that, but just for me it was like it came from like an acting standpoint, like this was such a powerful scene for them, and then it translated through their characters, considering what obviously happens and the decision that Peter makes in this. So that's how I felt like it was just like a little bit more, and it was more of like from an acting standpoint, it's like we finished this trilogy, guys, like we are the crew and we finished this trilogy, and that's what was just so heartbreaking about it for me in this case.
So my reading of the scene was never that, but by this point you're the second person who's telling me you felt this way. The other one was James. I was talking to James yesterday, and he actually said, "Oh, this is the goodbye to them," and I'm like, "I'm going to blame him, and I'm going to blame you now."
I felt it, fam.
I will not live in a world where they don't get back together. I will not live in a world where Peter Parker doesn't try to get back together with MJ. So you're warned right now. You brought that up. You're kind of manifesting that, and I don't like that.
Even if it's not the next movie, they will. You know, if he ends up getting, you know, his next 6 movies
I hope
they
so.
planned, the college trilogy and the adult trilogy.
I could be wrong.
I better see it. I better see it, man. Leo, your thoughts on this heart-shattering goodbye.
Oh man. So I don't want to believe that MJ's gone, man. I'm with you, Ren. I'm like, I don't want to believe that. And Zendaya and MJ said, find me again and come tell me this. And I'm like, okay, he didn't, but I think that there will be a moment where he will. So I don't think this is the end of MJ. Might be the last of Ned, though. Yeah. I really hope it ain't the last of them, y'all. I mean, what a great performance. Finally, we get a scene of really good chemistry between the two of them. Because, we got, some breadcrumbs and stuff in Far From Home. And we get some great moments in this movie. But that was just like the ultimate moment, the kiss. Kirsten Dunst in Spider-Man 2002 when she pulls the mask down. Like, it was one of those iconic moments between Spider-Man and his love interest.
I'm gonna say right now, I bet we get that kiss in the next one with them.
I don't think she'll be in the next. I think we'll get her one move without her in one movie. I think we'll go whole movie.
You really want to make me suffer.
I think we're getting.
Want to make me hate.
I think
we're getting Gwen Stacy next movie. Then middle movie she comes back. Gwen is still around. I hope they don't do the Gwen dies again. don't need that.
I
But
don't think they would.
yeah,
I
I
don't
hope
think
I
they
not.
can't
We've
go
already
through it
seen it.
again.
That's why
can't
I
go
don't
through-
think we're gonna get Gwen. The more I think about it, I just do not think we're gonna do Gwen.
You
I
think
think-
Betty Brant is the most Gwen we're gonna get?
I mean, I
She
guess-
No,
was
I
kinda-
think they'll do Felicia Hardy.
That's the one. I think it's Felicia Hart.
I
It's a
could
flirting
go that way,
relationship.
too.
Nothing serious. It's because he
Yeah.
doesn't want anything
But his
serious.
heart is still with MJ. So
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
maybe they don't get back together in the next movie, but
she's gonna
we
be
will
in
see
it.
her in the
There's
next
gonna
movie.
be
Yeah.
something of this. I'm gonna say right now, the next one will take place his second year of college. It'll be his second year of college.
That's
I think it'll
Spider-Man
been,
2 as well, right? Is he in second or third
Yeah.
year in
He's I
Spider-Man?
thought it was
Uh,
his first, wasn't it? His
Yeah, I
first?
think
That
it's
was
his
his
first.
Is it his
First.
first? I thought
Yeah.
I thought he was a couple
I
years
think they're
in
going
when
to.
that
I think
Kurt-
we're going to get like a year because I think the next time we actually do see him, I want to say the next time we see him is actually his next film because I feel like that's the most real thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if it is another big crossover as the next time we do see Tom Holland Spider-Man, just because of how the MCU works.
Yeah.
Maybe
Because we
Multiverse of
do.
Madness.
Maybe. I mean that is the truth. I wouldn't be surprised, but
Mhm.
or maybe something after that. Right after. But that's what I want to see because I want them together. If they don't end up together, I'm just gonna, I'll end up. I almost broke my.
I will not like any future Spider-Man movie if they don't get back together.
They
I'm putting
have
it
to.
out
Yeah, we
right
gotta get him back.
See,
Got to.
The reason why I feel like it's not gonna happen is because she was wearing the Black Dahlia necklace in the last scene with him, and all he had to do was point out the necklace to maybe like trigger a memory. Maybe he didn't want to do that at that time. I don't know, but like I saw the necklace, I'm like, you could have just said something.
Been like, do you know where you got that from? And
Just
then she would've been like,
something,
oh,
so-
I don't know. I gave it to you, so.
Think this could be coming later,
Something.
folks. We can still do
To-
this in another movie.
to
We
me-
could, we
you know
could.
what,
It just
though?
it
I
bothered me
understand
To
for
in
me,
the
it's when he
moment.
saw. To me, it's when he saw the gash in the eye and he
Yes.
kept that adult
Fair,
decision
fair.
that he just made. And like,
It
no,
is
I'm going to keep
mature.
her
Fair.
safe.
She's
It's
getting
too
hurt.
dangerous.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
at the same
But
time,
it's-
they also set up that she feels something. She's not
Yes.
sure what it is.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what it is, but they set up something that there's a connection still there. So I don't think they would have
Because
done. Given that
what's
this
gonna
is not only a
happen-
Sony movie but a Kevin Feige movie,
Yeah.
I don't think they would have done that
He
if they
can't be
weren't.
alone forever. He can't be alone
Exactly.
forever. Sorry. He'll end up.
And you
Here's
don't
the
do
thing.
such a good job with the relationship to not follow
The
through.
relationship. I mean, the thing is, both of them will come back. I'm not saying the world will find out who Peter Parker is again, but
Oh yeah,
people will come back to know who he is. I do think
Yeah,
this is it for Happy,
for
though.
sure.
This is it for Happy.
Yeah.
In the
don't-
Spider-Man movies, I think so too.
I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, I mean, and I think the only other place I could see him showing up is either Ironheart or Armor Wars. I think those are
Yeah.
probably the
And,
most logical.
Agreed.
And no, you said I think Secret Invasion is possible.
Oh,
Not-
maybe.
I
Maybe.
would put those two over Secret Invasion, but I still think Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
is
So,
possible.
and that's where I
possibility.
kind of think we see him next. Or She-Hulk, maybe. He needs a lawyer. So maybe that is.
dude.
Maybe that
He
is-
already has a lawyer. He doesn't need
Jennifer
a lawyer
Walters,
anymore.
baby.
No,
Yeah.
he doesn't need a lawyer anymore because people forgot he's Spider-Man, so he's not implicated
Oh,
with Spider-Man
yeah.
anymore. I mean,
Okay,
he
Peter
knows
Parker.
he knows Spider-Man because he met May through Spider-Man that we got to
Mhm.
see in the grave. which
Mhm.
is-
I
Very
saw
much.
the dumbest. Some guy commented on my review, and he goes, "It makes no sense." So what? The spell scrubbed the entire internet as well. I'm like, yes, that's the point of the spell.
Yes.
Get rid of anything,
It's magic.
anyone. Yeah, it's like Peter Parker never existed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
No
and I like
strange
how
That's
even though when
literally
he's-
what they say.
Yeah, I like when they're when he's pulling his stuff out, and he pulls out. You see the book, the GED book. I'm like, all right. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what is that? Talk to me as a
Okay.
non-American.
Okay, so you don't know. So as an un-American, when you don't graduate high
Educate
school,
me.
you take that to get your high school diploma.
Yep.
So instead of
okay.
him going back to high school, you just
Yeah,
take
yeah.
that. Which we
Mhm.
know Peter's smart as shit. He probably doesn't need to read the book. He'll just
Right.
go and
He
take
probably
it.
aced
You
it with
take
flying
like
colors.
you literally take like a week-long test to get your GED.
Okay.
That's what it is. And then you can go to
So,
college.
so unless you all want to add something towards these final scenes that we stepped into, and we see Peter Parker going to his own apartment, living in New York City, stepping into his own new version of
Mhm.
Spider-Man per se.
Yes, baby. Yeah.
Do we think he's going to MIT?
No.
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 But I
Man.
will also add this.
Mm.
I think the next movie we see him during, and this is why I'm going to say it's a summer film because Zendaya will be back. I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying they're going to meet during summer, and something's going to happen where they're going to transfer or something like that. That's why I'm saying it's taking place the second year.
I think she gone for a movie, man. I think we're not gonna get her the next movie.
Leo, stop breaking my fucking heart.
I agree with Leo though.
She's one of the biggest stars right now. I
the one time you guys
She's in June part 2, Zach. It's okay. She's gonna be in June part 2.
No. I'm willing to bet money right now that she will be back in the next one. There's no way Amy Pascal and Kevin, because I guess we haven't even talked about this. Kevin did say yesterday, his exact quote, because I tweeted it, and thank you, Kevin, for doing this. He said, where the fuck is it? Yes, we're actively beginning to develop where the story heads next, which I only say outright because I don't want fans to go through any separation trauma. Thank you. Like what happened after Far From Home. That will not be occurring. Thank you, Feige. Which I think now goes more into what Amy Pascal said, is that they're doing 3 more films with them. And I think they are going to be with the MCU. I think this is just more solidification that they are signing up 100%. Again. And it'll probably be announced in a couple weeks or something like that, that yes, we are officially all signed on to do 6 more MCU films together. It makes no sense to not do them. But I just, I guess I'll get over it if it's one film. But I'm telling you guys right now, if Zendaya don't come back at all and he don't end up with MJ, it's everyone else's fault. Like, but yeah, the suit,
but especially Amanda and James.
Yeah, exactly. Especially them. Mephisto.
Hey.
that Spider-Man suit is so clean.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's so the first still I got to actually see it still. Like, man, that's
so
totally one of the PS5 suits.
Oh yeah,
one of them PS5 suits.
Just go on to Google and type in Spider-Man No Way Home, and then go to the timeline and say the last 24 hours, and that's how I got some of these images.
No, and
in size large too.
That scene too, just of him, his last swing.
When and the score with the chorus from Michael Giacchino. Does a great job in this whole thing.
Swinging in the snow.
Yes. Which, by the way, he flies over Rockefeller Center, and next week Rockefeller Center is where Hawkeye is going to take place through a bulk of it.
See,
maybe. Amanda, do you think Peter is going to MIT?
I honestly kind of want to see it, and that he does go there, but I understand why he wouldn't. I do want him to meet Gwen. I think Gwen's gonna come in for some stranger. If we could have Felicia and Gwen, we could get everybody in here. Like, why the hell not? Like,
that's a lucky guy. That's a lucky spot.
Lucky guy, man. Why not? Get them all in.
This is Alan to Felicia Hardy, huh?
This is how you bring in Harry Osborn now.
Again. See, like and Timothy Chalamet is coming. That's great.
Yeah. No. I really think this is a real thing that could happen now. Tom's even said he wants Timothy.
Come on, Matthew McConaughey and Timothy Chalamet.
Yes,
like
Matthew fucking McConaughey.
Oh, you want Matthew as Norman.
It would be so cool.
Ooh.
Like, I think he'd be great.
I was on the and he would be great. I was on the Matthew McConaughey camp until a light bulb went out in my head, and this is only my opinion, obviously. But Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander in The Boys, as Norman Osborn.
I like that too.
I think he can shift those gears between psychopath and nicest guy in the world really well too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, at the end of the day, we still got one more scene to talk about. The post-credit scene.
We got 2 scenes.
Spider-Man No Way Home. We have 2 scenes? One of them is not a scene, but obviously we're going to talk about that. But the first post-credit scene, the actual scene, I'm even going to give her the solo layout. Give us your rant, Amanda. Give us your rant.
I see Venom behind you anyways, too. So
he's chilling, man. Like, I was upset. Like, that post-credit scene in Let There Be Carnage, I was like, holy crap, he's going to be the 6th member. He's coming. We're going to get Venom in No Way Home. Like, it was just, the excitement was unreal. And I was waiting for him to come in. I'm like, okay. They're all there. We're going to fight Toby, Andrew. They're all there. And like, he still didn't come in. Nothing was clicking. Venom could have come in like halfway through the movie. They could have done it. But again, looking back at it, like, that's just so much more that they needed to write in and explain. So I'm kind of happy they didn't at the same time, even though I wanted him there. But this post-credit scene pissed me off because, like, just having Tom Hardy in there for me was pointless. I know how Leo feels about this, but it was just pointless because we've invested so much time in Tom Hardy. Well, I have. I know you guys don't really care about him, but I love the guy. Okay, as Eddie Brock, I think he's great.
Hey, I love the guy too.
Thank you. It's good. We feel the love, but it's just the fact that like he was there ranting, raving about this universe and all of that. Like, what was the point of having all that dialogue about like Thanos and trying to understand this universe, and then for him to be plucked out of it and just have like the piece of the symbiote like just on the counter? Like, I understand what they're trying to do, but they're going to recast Eddie Brock and they're going to like give the host to someone else in this universe for Tom Holland. And that's what kind of bothers me because I really love Tom Hardy like as Venom. He's so fun and just
Could
so
be a variant
invested in
version
this
of him, though,
character.
in this world. Could be Tom Hardy again.
It could, but I have a feeling like if Feige doesn't like him, or likely they would have made the decision to like keep him in.
I
likes-
hope it's not I hope it's not Tom Hardy, only because I don't think that's too fun for an actor. It's fun. The concept is fun. Oh, the same actor is playing two versions of the character at the same time. But I don't think that would be fun for Tom Hardy or for any actor. For that matter, like it's cool to bring back Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox because they're not playing those versions anymore, so they're basically reprising the role. But I think Tom and anyone for that matter will get pretty bored pretty fast if that was the situation. Yeah. So I'm with Manda. Like I addressed this question when I did the
Timothy Chalamet gets the
Timothy Chalamet as Eddie Brock.
You know what? I'll take it.
No, Harry Osborn. Give Harry the symbiote. That's what it's looking like.
Yeah,
Spider-Man
games.
We could just do Anti-Venom. We could go directly to Agent Venom, Flash Thompson. We could do completely original character. We could do, I don't know, we could do Matt Gargan. Matt Gargan has been Venom in the comics, so he could get the symbiote.
It's there.
I do have the question, do we think the symbiote, because Tom Hardy does voice the symbiote, do we think the little goo left behind keeps the personality? And he's going after Spider-Man.
I hope he has a different personality.
So Leo's like, no.
Keep the voice, that's fine.
Amanda suddenly got a glimmer in her eye, like, oh, there's hope, and Leo just, nope, I hope not.
He always does when it comes to
what I'm surprised by? We all knew Tom Hardy was going to be the end credit scene. We all knew it.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about him by the time the film was over. So
do you know what I thought though? I thought we were going to see Venom, and then he was going to get the spider symbol. And then go back.
I thought so too. That's how I thought his whole role in this film.
This is where me and Ren heavily disagree, though. I'm still. He's from Garfield's world, man. You just fucking
clearly
can't tell
he's
me.
not. Clearly,
I don't know. You just can't tell me he's not.
I want to be on Zach's side with this because that means
like,
his possibility comes
back.
But then why? I don't mind being on Zach's side. I think it makes sense. But
you know what also doesn't make sense?
Different worlds.
You know what also doesn't make sense though? Now that I think about this, and Sony, why did you even bring him over in the first place?
Like
he doesn't know.
The spell only worked on people who knew who Peter Parker was.
Which shows you that that's a Sony thing. And also, I don't care if that little bit of goo is separated physically from the body. It also should have gone back.
Well, do we know if he knows? Because he did reference in the first Venom. He was like, oh, I came here and I was in New York. That's still kind of open-ended.
He did say that in the post-credit scene that he
maybe he knows
from
who
another.
Peter Parker is, but he doesn't know who
saying.
Spider-Man is.
Yeah, he said that in the post-credit scene. Yeah, so I was like,
Sony's got some explaining to do, but I still think it's
we're gonna get Morbius. I mean, this doesn't clarify whatever's going on.
Maybe Morbius will clarify it. Maybe Morbius will clarify it.
Jared Leto.
At all.
Jared Leto's done for me.
You mean like, Parmesan cheese, man?
I was so hyped for Morbius, and then I watched House of Gucci, and I'm like, you don't deserve my money anymore.
Why, Marcelo? Why?
If he does not play Morbius as Italian, what is even the point?
When he's talking about that shit, seeing the difference between chocolate and shit, I'm like, really, we going here, man?
Chocolate. I was like, it's
Chocolato.
That's how he said it. That's literally it. I cried.
And quit the act, bro. This ain't Super Mario Brothers. Yank Chris Pratt and put in Jared Leto.
There you go. Switcheroo, and I'll still hate it.
I'm just happy we're going to get not necessarily happy because I could do it without him, but now that we're going to get at least whatever version of Venom in the MCU, I'm curious to see how they do it. If it is the whole Secret War storyline, if it is another version of what they did in Spider-Man 3,
You said it.
not with the
I
ton of
think
other
that's the
storylines
next
going on.
big tie-in. I think that's when we see Spider-Man.
I hope so. Let's see. But after this, Marvel gives us a change of pace, and we get our first trailer at Doctor Strange, my most hyped MCU film. Before this, it was Eternals. After Eternals, it's this MCU thing. We got our first trailer at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that clarifies so many things that we had heard rumors about. We got some inside scoops throughout the year, and then also things we didn't know about because Shumagorath, he's there, he's all its glory.
It's
Maybe
actually fun fact. It's actually not him. A fan
What do you
corrected me on that. It's a different octopus creature.
That's Shumagorath.
That's what I said. It's not though. The Lego
Who is
set
it?
doesn't show Shumagorath. I don't fucking know the guy's name. It starts
Because
with an
that
M.
looks that is Shumagorath. Like that's the design of him in the
know how
comic.
I feel about Shumagorath.
I know.
Let me see if I can figure it out. But on
I'm
the
not.
Lego
I'm not
set, it doesn't
correcting
say
you.
that.
I'm correcting the guy who corrected you.
Let me see. Doctor Strange.
We also get a
I'll figure it out.
Not
exactly.
you, it's him.
we get a glimmer of America Chavez. We see our first look at Baron Mordo, which I'm so happy to see because Chiwetel Ejiofor is awesome, and he's got new locks. I love the locks on the man. We go back a little bit to Kamartaj, a ton of insane looking things. The horror vibes are very clear, like right from the beginning with the whole voiceover and the panning shot through Gargantos.
That's his name.
Okay. I still think it's Shumagorath.
I hope it is. I'm surprised it is.
Like the whole snowy New York with the building coming through like horizontally, the Sanctum Sanctorum flooded. Again, a little bit of Kamartaj, and finally we get Wanda. He goes to ask help for Wanda, which we all thought she was going to be the villain or one of the antagonists.
I don't give a fuck. She still is.
I still think she is because that other shot of her standing. Which, hang on, speaking of. Finally got this baby in the mail.
Nice.
She's upside down.
So pretty.
Nice. Hell yes.
I love that.
Wanda.
Yes. Really cool shot of her just levitating over the books and whatnot. And we get the reveal of the villain behind all of this, which is another Doctor Strange with the disheveled beard and whatnot.
I don't believe that.
Do we think that's Supreme? Because Supreme does go back to the good side.
I think it's just a variant of him. I think it's just another variant.
I
like
think
one
so
version
too.
that didn't go back to being good.
Yes.
Like,
but
I do
agree.
think we see Supreme. I do think we see Supreme in this.
I think so too. Amanda, do you think we see Supreme, or do you think that's another version of Supreme?
It could be another version.
Yeah.
I think.
Because like
I don't know
the
enough
reshoots,
about
they
the.
just. Oh, sorry. You can.
No. I don't know enough about like the different versions of Strange, so I'm just gonna yield my time with talking about it.
But you know what I loved last night? After that, everyone in the theater, you could hear friends being like, "I don't get what's going on." They're like, "Did you not watch What If? Did you not like?"
Yeah.
And everyone was freaking out. They're like, "You better." The amount of people I heard saying, "I cannot believe you didn't watch What If," and the people saying behind me, we were talking about What If. And he goes, "Should I watch it?" I'm like, and I politely looked at him and I said, "From what I understand with this movie, you absolutely should if you don't want to be confused." Because, the reshoots they just got done filming. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, 6 weeks of reshoots." It was the film stuff that they couldn't film during actual production. So, which I'm assuming is like cameos and whichever actors show up.
The reshoots that are finishing up this week were mostly for cameos, and they already had cameos before, which I'm not going to reveal here.
Can we still pray for a Hugh Jackman or Deadpool cameo?
Deadpool.
I want Deadpool. Just opens up one portal. He's taking a fucking shower or something like that.
Yes,
and then he
baby.
closes
But
it.
who says that? But who says, like in Spider-Man Oil? Because we're all thinking portals, but who says there have to be portals? Who says it's not just boom, they're here?
Hey, look, no more mutants could be reversed.
Yeah, more mutants.
Yep.
Because right now there's 0.
I need more mutants.
That we know
Yeah,
of.
right. It's like, bring me all the mutants, and then
Bring me
they all come
Giancarlo Esposito as Magneto. That's all I want. Just bring it.
That's a good one.
That'd be
Ooh.
crazy.
Leo, do you think that's Supreme? Do you think that's another version of Supreme? Do you think that's someone else entirely?
I think Supreme. I think it is Supreme potentially, and I think Supreme is a bit of an opportunist. I know that he went onto the good side toward the end, but I think that it could potentially be that he saw his opportunity to get what he wanted and squeaked through, as Doctor Strange would say with the villains, squeak through to take advantage of that opportunity. But if it is another variant and Supreme Strange comes in, we'll love that as well.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Anyone else who noticed something that I didn't bring up about this trailer? That I didn't talk about that we see Rachel McAdams in a bridal dress.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
getting married.
Yeah.
And Mary,
Yeah.
Christine,
not
get
Strange,
married,
though.
y'all. You missed the train.
Is it to Stephen Strange though?
No.
Is it to him?
No.
Oh,
I don't
who do you think it is, Zach?
Mortal.
It's Peter Parker because she doesn't know he's Spider-Man.
Honestly, I just think it's probably a no one. Or
Oh,
it's
okay.
that fucking other doctor that he always argues.
Oh,
with.
Michael Stuhlbarg's?
Yeah.
And I say
Huh.
that because think about it. What if she wasn't blipped? That's 5 years that nothing that she thought he was gone. So people move
true.
on. I mean, who knows?
Ooh-wee. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
big.
it's true.
So I don't know.
That's
I'm
true.
excited. I still believe Wanda's the villain, though. I still believe it. I
Yeah.
just there's no going
You
away
hear
from that.
He thinks you're the villain.
Now I want to ask. I think she is. But so the thing I also love about that trailer that I want to get in is Sam Raimi's directing. You can clearly tell this is has that creepy atmosphere already in it.
The horror vibes were clear.
Yep. And I hope they let him do his zoom in shots, man. I really hope they let him do his zoom in cuts and everything of that nature.
Please do.
I hope so.
Please.
If we get like the tentacle of whatever this fucking octopus creature is supposed to be, let's just say a Shumagorath, and it's like that, oh my god, I'll scream in the theater. Like,
But let's be real,
What's the
guys.
other
That
name?
evil Strange could be Mephisto.
It's true. It's true. I'm sorry, Amanda, but he could they could do something in this version that guy becomes Mephisto, and Mephisto isn't just like Mephisto from the beginning. I don't know. They could get creative with it. One thing that I've learned now with this trailer, and judging from everything we saw in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, is like I don't think they're gonna go. For now, I'm going to stop theorizing about them going crazier than what they allude to. Because Spider-Man No Way Home didn't go any crazier than what he alludes to. It's opening, but he cracks it back.
can I
closed.
ask? I think they are going crazier, and I also think that Baron Mordo
Well,
we
obviously,
see,
Multiverse
I
of
don't-
Madness is already
yeah.
crazy by default. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like,
but
I'm not going to theorize about 30,000
that
things.
Baron Mordo we see, I don't think that's the one from the movie. I think that's a variant.
I think it is.
You think so? Oh, man, I
I
have a
think
gut
it is.
feeling it's a variant.
My theater
think
went
it
nuts
is.
when he came out.
He's
Oh,
awesome.
same.
I don't know.
I think
Jewel's
it
all
is.
Ejiofor, man.
I think it is because we got that line of, "Oh, the greatest threat to our universe is you," and then we cut to the Doctor Strange meeting Doctor Strange.
He says
But
his universe
but-
though could be a different universe.
but that line is very much in no pun intended, in line with his character by the end of the first Doctor Strange. Because
Do you think he's gonna go after Wanda, Baron?
Yes, because she's a witch in her own right, a wizard in her own right. So I think he
A
just wants to
wizard.
abolish all
You're a
magic.
wizard,
and-
Harry.
And Stephen Strange, because of what he did with the whole time traveling in the first Doctor Strange, and even helping the Avengers with the whole time traveling in Endgame, I think that line is simply meaning that what he's done, and maybe he doesn't even know about this evil Doctor Strange, and he just means that what you're doing, you're a big threat. Like even what you did for the kid, for the Spider Kid, like you're damaging the universe more than anyone else. So I think, even though we hear the line and we cut to that moment, I think those two things are completely disconnected. Because even in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, we hear the Electro, "Oh, you're not going to take this away from me," and he attacks Doc Ock, and that line was way after the attack on Doc Ock. So we already know how they manipulate trailers. But
True.
I think that's it for everything Spider-Man No
No,
Way
we
Home.
forgot some stuff.
We forgot? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Dude,
final
so we
thoughts, but
forgot-
go ahead.
Well, we forgot to talk about the one scene where Superman shows up, and it's Henry Cavill. I thought it was
Flashpoint.
brilliant.
Hey.
that was funny.
Hey,
I don't even care
it
about
hurts.
Flashpoint at this fucking point in time.
No, I'm just saying
Nothing
the
will fucking
book. The
compare to
book.
this.
I'm like, all right, we
yeah,
got the
that is
book.
true. I forgot
Another
about the
reference to DC right
Good-
after
good thing on
Eternal
that.
Superman and shit.
They should just put
Yeah.
them together at this point. Let's just bring them all in. Let's do it.
Yes.
They
Have
should
Kevin
DC
Feige
versus
take over
MCU.
DC.
They should just not
A
do
versus
Flashpoint
JL.
anymore.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, everyone. Zach, let us go into your final thoughts on Spider-Man.
My final
No Way
thoughts.
Home.
This is truly one of the best comic book experiences I've ever had. It is my second favorite comic book film of all time. It's my favorite MCU film of all time now. It could change. I think this is the best year for comic book films in a while, and honestly the best year of Marvel. Shang-Chi, Eternals, Falcon Winter Soldier, What If, Loki, WandaVision, Black Widow. I mean, they just did great. And then next year, you're going to tell me we get She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Secret Invasion, Groot, Doctor Strange, Black Panther 2, Thor. I mean, they just keep bringing it, and it's awesome. So, I love this movie with such a wholehearted passion. Yeah, I'm totally biased towards it. I don't give a fuck. But this is everything I wanted it to be. And honestly, like Ren, just as when you walked out and you saw Endgame, you're like, that's one of my favorite films of all time. This is how I feel about this.
That's
It's in
my
top
favorite
10.
film of all time.
See, and there you go. And like for me, it's in my top 10. I still love Spider-Verse just a little more, because that movie was so good. But that is my comfort movie. I watch it like almost every week. I put it on, so like maybe this will start to be my comfort movie. But I do cry too much during this movie, so I don't think I can count it as a comfort film. Just as like Toy Story 3 is like the one I rewatched the least amount because
It hurts.
I mean, it just fucking destroys me by the end.
hurts.
Because
For real.
I just, where like the
Destroyed.
first two, I can watch and just have fun and smile and laugh.
Yeah.
The third one is just, hey, Zach, here's a fucking knife. Let me put you down and just stab you in the back multiple times. And I'm like, cool, man. Thanks.
Leo, your final thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home.
I think this is more than I could have ever asked for out of a Spider-Man movie. I think going in was just, all these emotions, all this, like, you got to temper everything. You got to really get in the moment. But when you're in the moment, boy, does it feel like an endless roller coaster that does not stop. I agree with you, Zach. Easily one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Currently, where I'm standing, it is my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. One of my favorite movies in general of all time. This did feel like my end game. This was absolutely excellent, top to bottom. I love this movie. I'm going to see it again probably before the weekend ends, a fourth time. I loved it, man. I loved it. I think that this year, I agree with you, Zach. You were saying that this is their best, the MCU's best. I think you're right, to be honest. Like, just thinking about it, starting year with WandaVision and ending it with Spider-Man was like my perfect MCU year because those are some of my favorite comic book characters, period. So I love that. And then we're getting She-Hulk and Black Panther, another couple of my favorite characters. Very excited. I mean, honestly, just the direction that Phase 4 is going, and I will admit I was a little nervous. The direction they're going is extremely positive, and I'm not nervous at all after this movie. Loved every bit of this. And as a Spider-Man fan, thank you.
No.
Thank you, Marvel, for making this happen. Thank you.
Breaking news real fast. The box office came out
How much?
Friday.
I knew it was box office. How much?
Domestically, 121.5 million.
Woo! Woo!
It is now on an
And it's not
estimate.
over. The weekend
Nope,
is not
and it's
over.
on an estimate to hit 242 right now. But here's the thing.
Nice.
Amazing.
242?
Yeah, opening weekend. But here's
Wow.
the thing.
Domestic.
If it does Black Panther numbers today, so Black Panther each day got bigger and bigger.
That's
Yeah.
right.
If it does that here, it'll hit 300.
Okay.
I think that's
It's
possible.
it
'Cause-
I
is
hope so.
it's 10 million behind Endgame right now.
Oh my
God,
god.
in
If this wasn't a
could you guys
pandemic, I'm
imagine?
sorry.
It is
Times?
10 million behind the Endgame over here in the UK too, because yesterday we had a box office and it reached opening day actually like 50 million, while Endgame
Oh,
was
sorry.
60
Yeah, sorry. I
million.
apologize. Endgame's opening day was 157, so it is 30 million. It probably won't hit Endgame.
Okay.
But honestly,
Yeah,
to
I
you
wouldn't
guys,
expect it to hit Endgame.
can you
but
imagine if this wasn't?
we're in the pandemic era
pandemic
still.
never
Mm.
hit. If theaters, like a lot of
Spider-Man-
theaters, still stayed open.
Spider-Man is literally saving cinema, everyone. So how do you
Yeah.
feel
Paul
about
Thomas
that?
Anderson was right.
It's true. Amanda, give us your final thoughts.
I'm in love with this movie. I'm in love with it. I've never been so happy in my life because it was just a journey and a half to get to this movie. After everything we've seen, after everything we've heard, just like it was just so much to take in before actually watching this. And it felt like a huge weight was lifted after watching No Way Home. And it's just a celebration of like one of the best freaking superheroes of all time and the best superhero in Marvel that we've been blessed with for the past like 20 years because he's just so iconic and everyone loves him. So I think that it was just a beautiful love letter to Spidey. And I know that like Stan would have been really proud of this movie. And he's looking down and he's just like so happy about seeing the three of them together. But yeah, like it's going to become a comfort film because I choose the most heartbreaking like movies as my comfort films, or like it's just I have The Irishman, which makes me cry like multiple times, one of my comfort films. So this one's Leo, don't fall asleep.
He said The Irishman. Oh man,
don't fall asleep because I said it.
Are you fucking kidding me, Leo?
But yeah, I love this so much. We have had a kick-ass year, and they're just gonna keep pushing forward. That's it. Like they're throwing everything at the wall, hoping everything sticks, and so far it has, and they've been killing it. So I'm just excited for the future.
Yeah, you said it, and I said it in my spoiler review. Like, this is a celebration of what it is to be Spider-Man, of everything that we love about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I've been so afraid for the past year. For the past year, at least once a week, maybe there were exceptions, at least once a week, every time we did the show, Zach and I had at least one topic Spider-Man. And it was like, I'm very afraid for this film. And they proved me so wrong, and I'm so happy. It could have gone so wrong, and yet it's one of the best Spider-Man movies ever. It's one of the best movies of the year. Not gonna say where it ranks right now because tomorrow I'm uploading a ranking video of all the Spider-Man movies, and maybe some hot takes on that one. But I'm super happy with this film. I'm super satisfied. It took me to an emotional high, and it earned every bit of that emotion. Because if it hadn't earned it, I probably wouldn't feel anything watching it. But that's the panel. That's our thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank you, everyone. Apologies that we can't get to questions today, but obviously the best part of this is that I was able to bring your comments up while we did this, and you guys kept talking with one another. And this beautiful panel that joined me today, I'm so thankful for them. Zach, thank you once more for being the co-host for this show. Leo, thank you for joining us again. And Amanda, thank you for joining us for hopefully the first of many, 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 many times in the future. Zach, what do you got coming up, and where can people find you online?
So right now, my MCU ranking is actually officially up right now. It went up about 40 minutes ago. So feel free to go check that out. Let me know your guys' ranking. I've done a ton of Spider-Man content over the last couple of days. I've done the MCU ranking, Spider-Man ranking, Spider-Man villain ranking. I was going to do a spoiler discussion tomorrow. I think I'm satisfied just with this. I thought this was perfect. So this is kind of, this was it. I don't feel like we just reiterate the same shit over there. So maybe I'll do a live questions and answers. Maybe I don't know. Ren, are we doing a show next week because of Christmas?
You tell me. I'm gonna be home all day, so I don't mind.
Do you want to do one Christmas Eve morning? Because I can do one Christmas Eve morning.
Christmas Eve. I can do Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Okay.
I won't have.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Right. Yes. Christmas Eve.
That works for me because I'm not doing anything that till like 6. So sweet.
All right.
Impromptu. That's how we do it. There will be an episode next week. We don't know what news.
Just
it might
on
just
Friday
be a live
instead
Q&A.
of Saturday.
Yeah, it might be a live Q&A though next week because I don't know how much news we're gonna get, but we'll see. I don't know. I love this movie. I have a lot of reviews coming out next week. Matrix, American Underdog, Tender Bar, Matrix ranking. Maybe if I watch them all. Maybe Kingsman ranking if I watch them all again. But the other thing I do want to say is the end of the year is coming up, so you know all those top 10 lists are flying through very soon. I'm gonna see Journal for Jordan next week, and then I feel like I'm good. I think that's it. I think I'm good after that. I don't need to see anything else. I'm good. Big thumbs up. I feel satisfied with what I've seen. So yeah. Anyways.
All right, Leo, what do you got coming up? Where can people find you?
Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me on again. This was awesome. Love getting to talk Spider-Man No Way Home. I feel like I can talk about it for another 50 hours and be okay.
Yes.
I can finally talk about Matrix 4. So I've got Matrix 4,
Oh,
a
that's
review
right.
coming up for that. Also, a ranking of the Matrix franchise and a bit of a different ranking. I'm just going to kind of speak about all of the films and the experience that it was to actually watch the whole Matrix franchise in chronological order. A lot different than watching the movies back to back. And also, I've got a video dropping today that is the 10 greatest scenes from No Way Home. Definitely no footage,
Ooh.
but I will be talking about them. So check
Ooh.
that out. And yeah, I think I might catch Journal for Jordan as well. And then we got Cobra Kai coming up on New
yeah,
Year's
that
Eve,
too.
and I am going ham, guys. We are talking Cobra Kai almost every week in the beginning of January. So definitely.
I gotta watch those screeners. Shit, you just reminded me. I have to do that.
Yeah, man. I know I've been forgetting too. Oh, and youtube.com/geeklygoods. See y'all there.
Alrighty. Amanda, what do you got coming up and where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I've had to take a break this month because it's been really hectic for me. Just stuck with writing, but I'm going to be doing top 10 lists, and I think that's a good way to just recap everything that I've been doing. Just to do everything, ranking movies and all of that. It's the easiest for me, but I have my Spider-Man review up right now on my website, canadexcinema.com. And my Kingsman review. I love that franchise. It's just
Same.
this one.
I'm so happy we
just-
agree with this because I didn't like it
Yeah.
either. I was
It
so
was-
disappointed.
It was but we got
I know Ren
Kingsman
liked
3. Yeah,
I really did.
Yeah, same here, Ren.
yeah. I'm sorry,
did.
fam. I'm sorry.
Don't
But
even
I'm
get me started
excited-
about. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I'm excited for Kingsman 3, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah,
Yes.
top 10 lists, all of that, Oscar season, festival coverage I have coming up for Sundance. So I'm really excited for it. You guys can always find me over at AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I love Venom, guys, and I'm really sad about this. So you can see me cry about it when it's okay to post the spoilers, I guess, online on Twitter. We'll see, because people still get mad now. Opening weekend, but
Yeah,
yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
All right, and I got a busy week as well. For the first time since I started the channel, I will be watching every 2021 movie in 2021 in the correspondent year, that is, because I didn't watch 2021 movies in previous years, obviously. But within the next hour, Licorice Pizza review is dropping tomorrow. All the Spider-Man movies ranked, and this week, Matrix Resurrections on Tuesday. Then by Christmas Eve, Don't Look Up. And after that, yes, all the top 10, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 best, top 10 worst, top 10 most anticipated, top 10 most surprising movies, best superhero, all superhero movies ranked, all animated movies ranked, and also Sing 2 somewhere in there. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can catch it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you had questions, please keep those questions for next week because we just went very much over time to just geek out about Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank you once more for joining, everyone. Thank you so much to this beautiful panel that I love. And until the next one, as always, love each other,